Hello. Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen. Cold out. It snowed today where I'm at. There's not a lot of snow, right? But it snowed a little bit. Just got done walking my dog in that. That was crazy. Lola does not like snow. Does not like ice. Does not like any of that stuff. I don't blame her, okay? Stuff's cold. But she needed to go, right? And I had to kind of wrestle her into going. But wrestle we did. And yeah, it is what it is. But hold on 1 second, please. Sorry about that. Lola's going a little crazy. Had to tell her to settle down. Settle down, little doggy. Brew Crow, nice to see you. Okay. Man. So, two things. So in about 30 minutes, we'll be having the deportation panel. That's going to be fun. I'm really excited. We got some great guests coming on for that. Big Papa Buckaroo's coming on. That's going to be fun. Doghouse Show, Lactoid, Admiral Gibbs. We're going to talk about Trump's deportation plan. Is it workable? Is it feasible? The morals behind it, these things should be a good discussion. But I needed to go live a little early because, my God, I can't stop seeing mental illness on my feed. And I want to go over it, okay? I tried to talk a little bit about this yesterday, but it turns out that yesterday they were just getting started, okay? They were just getting started on their mental illness. And today, and betwixt when I ended the stream yesterday and now, they have gone full psychotic. And I want to be clear with you when I say psychotic about their takes on the CEO stuff. And let's get to it. Let's just look at it. I'm not going to take call-ins for this. I don't want the distractions. I love you, callers, but I want to get through this. We'll get in there. Conservative liberalism says you have times where mental illness isn't featured on your feed. What's that like? It's nice, actually. Most of my feed's usually okay, but, you know. So let's look at I think the winner. Okay, this one takes the cake for I have some sort of mental illness. Okay. I want you to get a good look on this so you can read along, kings and queens. So the quote tweet they're replying to, right? Pretty simple. Just a reminder that Brian Thompson, the CEO of the United Health, who was just shot and killed in New York, was a human being with a family. So many of the comments on his murder are despicable. And that's true. That's correct. This person is just preaching, okay? Just true. Person's human. They had a family. They had a wife, kids, all that. The humanist report. The humanist report right there. Fuck his family too. This guy had just been gunned down in cold blood in the street. Okay, Brian Thompson, just been gunned down in cold blood in the street. And here's our humanist report guy here saying that, oh, fuck his family as well, too. Oh, I don't want to misquote him, okay? What level of evil is it that you can see a bad thing happen to someone? And regardless of whether they deserved it, what not, right? His family, his kids, his wife, his cousins, his uncles, his brothers, his grandma, his grandsons, his granddaughters, whatever. Fuck those people too. And in the context of what we're talking about, bam, 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 right? You understand? That's some fucked up shit. That's some fucked up shit. Like, look, I get it. You may not care that this guy died. Most people don't. Most people are like, oh, someone died. I'll even let you guys in on a little secret, okay? What bothers me isn't that this guy died. That's sad. Oh, well, deaths happen. People die all the time. That's not what bothers me. What bothers me, what really gets under my skin is the glee surrounding it, the reaction to it, the seeing someone die and then giggling and cheering it on and going rah, 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 rah. And going, I hope more people die. I hope his family dies. I hope they hunt down his children and put them against the wall, right? These motherfuckers. The humanist report. Can we turn humanist into a slur at this point? Can we turn that into a slur? Because, look, if you see humanist anywhere in their profile, you know that they're going to be justifying the murder of children at some point, right? Or the murder of bad people. Bad people's children, bad people's family, right? You know that's coming. These people are some of the irony of having humanist in your profile makes you more willing to dehumanize all those around you, right? It's just a pattern I see, okay? It's just a pattern I see. Misclicking Orc says, kind of unrelated, but kind of related. I remember seeing the exact same thing with the Ukraine war when a Russian anywhere died. Yeah, that's sick. I've called people out on that. I've had Ukrainian Anna on, and I've been like, that's not okay, right? I mean, yeah, it's not. It's the levels of dehumanization we're looking at across the board have been terrible. Cameraman 502, $2. Didn't they already do that on October 7th? And they're doing, look, the one-to-one overlap is pretty, the Venn diagram looks like a circle for the people who cheered on the October 7th shit and the people cheering on this. The Venn diagram looks almost like a perfect circle. It's not completely, but it's very, very close, okay? And then you have, what's amusing to me is a Venn diagram of the people who are totally against the death penalty, but who are cheering this on, are like almost a perfect circle as well. To be clear, I'm against the death penalty. I think that government cannot be trusted to make these decisions and not make mistakes, and I think the mistakes that result in the death of human beings is probably something that we don't want, right? And there are other options that to keep us safe that I think are better, and I think that have less harm associated with it. So I'm against the death penalty, right? A lot of people who would cheer on that take, who would say, you're exactly right, Wick. That take's entirely correct. It's 100% true. That take is a thing. You know what they would turn around and say on this? It'd be like, haha, it's good that guy died. I am more and more convinced that I am probably one of the only people who actually believes in these morals. I don't know. I'm more and more convinced of that. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm just being like negatively polarized or something, right? But I hope that this is just kind of like me and my feed and the algorithm rage bait, right? But my fear is that I'm not wrong. My fear is that, yeah, these people are just psychopaths. Like literal psychopaths. Let's go through more of this bullshit, okay? Let's go through more of this bullshit. This is the most joyful news in years. Good fucking God. Even Elon probably didn't feel this good on election night. A better world is possible. Again, these people, right? They're not good people. This guy is a fucking monster. He's celebrating. Again, this isn't jokes. This isn't an edgy joke. Okay, again, I want to be clear. This isn't people who make a meme and then just ha 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 and fuck off, right? That's probably bad, right? But that's way less bad than what these people are doing. These people aren't joking. They're not memeing. They're not kidding. They are being deadly serious. They want these people hunted down in the streets. The people they consider bad, they want them to be hunted down in the streets, and they want their families hunted down too. The wives, the husbands, the uncles, the children, anyone related to them. And they say as much with their whole ass chest, with their fucking face, with their real name. They say this shit. Yesterday, right after I ended the stream. Here's Taylor Lorenz on Blue Sky, okay? Blue Sky, the place where it's much more calmer and saner, apparently. This is Taylor Lorenz, after having said, I hope more executives in the health industry get killed, okay, posting the name and the likeness, okay, of other health CEOs, health industry CEOs, okay? That's what the kind of people were doing it. And Taylor Lorenz doesn't, okay, this is important. They don't even consider that they have to hide this. They don't put a mask on, right? They're not using an anonymous account to do this, right? They're not someone who is like thinking, you know, I'm going to use my burner account and post an edgy meme or something or call for this. They don't fear repercussions or reprisals or anything. They don't fear any kind of social stigma. In fact, they know that they're not going to get socially stigmatized for this. They know that they're going to get rewarded for this. They're going to be cheered on. They're going to have other mentally ill people rah, 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 gas them up. Tell them, get your bag, queen. Go, go, go. Tell it like it is. It's deeply disturbing and deeply sick. Remy LeBeau says they aren't being serious. It's the internet. I promise you they're being serious. They have never been more serious in their fucking lives. This isn't jokes. This isn't memes. They're not memeing. If that person got killed, they would celebrate it. Because they celebrated this other person getting killed. It represents a deep illness in certain political circles. A cancer. A rot that is infecting them. Right? That is becoming an albatross around any good that they might think that they want to do's neck. You know what's going to happen the next time? Look, Taylor Lorenz is a perfect example, okay? Taylor Lorenz spends half her life online complaining about cyberbullying. The other half of her life she spends calling for the death of her enemies. And then she wonders, why doesn't anyone take me seriously when I say that I'm getting harassment on the internet? Why doesn't anyone take me seriously when I say I'm being bullied? Well, have I got news for you, Taylor? There's a reason that they don't take you seriously. Guess what it is? It's this. It's this behavior. They recognize, because they're not idiots, they're not mentally ill, they're pretty normal, they're pretty sane, they're pretty intelligent. Well, intelligent being for the masses, right? And they look at this and they're like, oh, you aren't actually against bullying. You're not actually against harassment. You're not actually against death threats. You're not actually against stochastic terrorism. You're not actually against calling for the death of your political enemies. You're not actually against any of this. You're just mad it's happening to you. That's it. And we don't give a fuck. Because why would I give a fuck? Why would I give a fuck that someone who's been calling for the death of people gets people calling calling death on them too? Like, you chose to do this. This is you. This is on you, friend. Like, I still feel bad, to be clear, because I think just because someone has done a bad thing doesn't mean bad things should be done to them, and I will condemn that, right? But you understand? You understand that this is not surprising in the least? What am I clicking on here, Narsocks? If I click on it and it's weird, I'm gonna... Oh, this person, right? Okay. Well, I'll give you all these so I made a post on this. Might as well go through it because there's some things to go through here. I'll show you what he's talking about here. So, this is my response to the guy we'll go through the thread here. So, remember the Humanist Report? He rightly is being dragged. Okay, he's being dragged as he should, okay, for his take because it's disgusting. Yes, I don't know who Joa Sosa is. I have no idea, but they're exactly right. They're exactly right. This is disgusting, what he said. Yeah. And so this motherfucker, okay, doubles down. He says, and I refuse to let people be emotionally blackmailed for joking about that. You fuck, where's the joke, motherfucker? Where is the funny? Where's the laugh? Where's the ha-ha? Which part? The part where you're fucking his kids? Ha-ha-ha? The part where you want his wife hunted down in the street? Ha-ha-ha? Is that the funny part? Is that the joke? Where am I supposed to laugh? Tell me precisely. Where's the funny part? Where's the joke? Where's the ha-ha? I'm waiting. Where's the ha-ha? So this motherfucker, okay, for joking about the death of a killer because of your think of his family bullshit. His family will be fine. They'll be able to subsist off the blood money for generations. UHC never thought of the families they harmed. First of all, this motherfucker, I guarantee you, does not understand how insurance companies work. They just don't. He just does not. I'm willing to bet any amount of money that he couldn't properly delineate exactly how UHC has harmed these families, right? I'm willing to bet $50 on it right now that he couldn't explain it. He would use buzzwords, vagaries. He'd never draw a direct connection. He just wouldn't. He'd be like, well, one time they didn't pay for this exorbitant fee that a doctor was jacking up the price for, right? Because he thought he could milk the insurance companies and then refused to take it down, right? Because the insurance companies wouldn't pay for it. He will never talk about killing the doctors, by the way. It's only the insurance companies, even though there's a... Here's the real secret. What do you think the insurance company is paying? What are the costs that they are covering? And who is charging them these costs? Who is charging them these exorbitant fees? The insurance companies aren't. The insurance companies have a premium and they jack it up. I'm not running defense for insurance companies here. They have their own problems, right? But the fees that they're supposed to cover, the costs that they're supposed to cover, don't come from the insurance company. They come from the doctors. They come from the hospitals. The hospitals know that they can jack up their prices to astronomical rates. And the insurance companies will pay for them. Right? And so no one feels bad overcharging an insurance company. But here, as someone who has not had insurance before, who's lived for years of his life, I have it through the VA now, right? But I existed before I joined the military too. I had no insurance for years of my life. You know what I would do? Is I'd find a private practitioner. I would talk to them in private about, hey, I don't really have insurance. And the price they listed on their tin would be cut in almost like sometimes by 70 to 80%. And I would just pay them in cash up front. But they jack up their prices to a huge amount. Okay? A huge amount. So again, this is what I'm responding to. So again, we're going through look. Now you're distracting me, but whatever. So I say kick all these monsters out of any position of influence or power. Fuck his family too, as if his kids had anything to do with anything. These aren't jokes. This guy actively wants harm to come to others, including children, and he does. He absolutely does. He says as much. This isn't a joke. Once again, don't let him hide. Don't let them try to mask up desperately. No, drag their asses. This wasn't a joke. Okay? And then this, I don't know who this is. Okay? The outrage of someone who's been cheering on a Holocaust for 14 months. Because I don't want Israel to be killed and every Jew raped. They're like trying to equate me here to this guy. I don't know how you deal with it other than laugh at them. Like, Nair, you ask me how do I deal with this shit? I just laugh at it. I'm like, oh, okay. Whatever. Your moral clock is fucking broken. I don't know what to tell you. Oh, sorry. I'm I'm upset about this because we keep out. And here's another exchange I had. Let me get to you because I think it's important. Okay, so I make again what I think is just the coldest of ice cold, like iceberg takes. These are like sub-zero level takes of ice coldness. Things like murder is bad, and then the response of mentally ill will people being a funny gif. It's a funny gif, okay. Then you have this person, okay. Maybe if you were someone who had their life destroyed by this company, you wouldn't call it murder. I'm pointing out, and again, I could tell you guys stories like you don't know anything about what me or my family has gone through regarding insurance companies. They don't, right? And you guys don't. I don't talk about it because why would I? It doesn't really come up. Don't assume because you had a reaction to a thing that everyone has the same reaction. Murder is bad. Death penalty is bad. Vigilantism is bad, even if the person is bad. This is an ice cold take. It's an ice cold take. It continues. I will assume, actually, because if you've ever directly experienced what I'm talking about, you wouldn't be saying this. I don't care. You think you're coming from a place of empathy, but it's a place of ignorance for greater harms that you're not able to fully empathize with because you don't fully understand them. Motherfucker, this is... You know what this is an example of, ladies and gentlemen? Narcissism. They are incapable of seeing how someone can have the same experience as they do, but come to a different conclusion. Because, again, they can't think out of their fucking box. They're self. They're so self-absorbed and narcissistic that they can't imagine anyone feeling anything else but what they feel about a situation. They can't imagine anyone thinking anything else but what they think about a situation. It's narcissism. Because again, she doesn't know a thing about the struggles I've had with insurance before I joined the military and after, because VA is dog shit, okay? First of all, okay? Second of all, my family, I've had family members who've died because of medical issues. Yes, absolutely. I have family members who currently struggle with medical issues. Yes, absolutely. Where do you guys think I'm living right now? And why do you think I'm living there? It's because a couple of years ago at this point, relatives got COVID real bad and had to be hospitalized because of that. I came up to live with them because they're still not entirely fucking better and they need help. And so I'm living with them to help with them. And oh, the insurance. Oh, the struggles. Oh, the struggles, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. But I don't burden you all with that because it's not your burden to bear. And it's something I take care of. And I am blessed to be able to take care of it. Okay? I am blessed to be able to help my family out like this. And that's a good thing. And I'm going to work with them. But the gall, the absolute fucking gall of people to say, I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to this, infuriates me. It infuriates me. No one who was denied coverage 2 days ago is going to get coverage now because someone got gunned down. No one. Not a single fucking soul. Who is this guy with the tooth? I know. Crazy, huh? So, I'm upset. And look, I'm not upset that the guy died necessarily. Like, death happens. It sucks. It sucks. It does. People get murdered. That sucks. But the willingness to just deperson and dehumanize someone, not just because that they are they have a job you don't like, but even if they're even related to someone who has a job that they don't like. So you can be the son of this dude who got gunned down, and you'll have Humanist report saying to fuck you because you happen to share blood with this dude. You didn't deny a single claim. You don't work in the industry. You don't do that. You don't have anything to do with it. And they will come after you. Yes, I'm upset that folks are celebrating it. It's inhuman. It's inhumane, I should say. Man, I'm mispronouncing words today. Look at me. Barron Trump would be celebrated? Yes, that's true. If Barron Trump died and got shot or something bad happened to you, you'll have these same people cheering it on. You'll have the same people cheering it on. That's who they are. They don't care. They're psychopaths. They're literal psychopaths. Blacktimus Primus says, we talk about that because this is a CEO. We somehow need to not care about the person the CEO was. Yeah, the dehumanization. If you work in a job that they don't like, if they have decided for whatever reason, right, and there's a host of reasons they could decide this, that you are a bad person, TM, they will piss on your grave. They will piss on your family's grave. They will piss on everyone's around you grave, anyone who's associated with you, anything like this. And then they'll try to call themselves the good guys. And then they'll turn around and the next day complain about harassment online. Complain, oh, someone said a mean word to me online. And they'll do these things sometimes on the same day and see no problem with that. There will be no dissonance to them. What are you talking about? Katarustoni says, yo, Wick, I'm a big fan, but are you still going to send the green screen to the milking mommies? Okay, I don't know what you're talking about. But look, again, I'm not asking you to go cry at his grave. I don't care if you don't care. Okay, you don't care. Okay. I'm just saying, don't fucking throw a party. Or don't, decide that this has... Don't make a tweet saying to fuck this man's children. Don't do it. It makes you a bad person. Yes, it makes you a bad person. It makes you a bad person when you do shit like this. Leon Tate says, I mean, you seem to be the minority on this issue, Wick. No, I'm not. Okay. Why do you think I'm the minority on this? What leads you to believe that? What metric are you using? We have data. Like, for example, do you know how most Americans rate their healthcare coverage? Do you think it's positive, negative? What? What do you think? Give me a guess. Do you think that most people think that they're getting good healthcare, bad healthcare, neutral healthcare? What do you think? Most people. Poker Matt says negative. Oh, well, we have data. Let's look at the data. What's it say? Americans' ratings of their healthcare quality and coverage at or near highs. 82% approve of their quality of their coverage, and 74% approve of the amount of coverage they get. Most people, a large majority of people are, and this is from 2020, a little after 2020 area, right? But at least in 2020, most people like their healthcare. This is Gallup, okay, by the way. Most people like their healthcare. So this idea that I'm in the minority, what metric are you using? Leon Tate says, everywhere you find discussing this topic is joking about it or saying they don't care. There's a lot of people online saying that, yes. And if you said to me, I think that in Twitter world, you probably are the minority, I might be, and I might agree with you, right? Fair. But we forget. Say it with me, kings. Queens as well. Twitter ain't real life. The views and opinions expressed on Twitter are skewed. They are really only from people who use Twitter. And that class of people. And Blue Sky, apparently. Okay. Because Blue Sky's going crazy with this, too. So. You like this beard length? Well, thank you. People have been giving me different opinions on my beard. Okay. Oh, I should probably give the link to my panelists. We're going to have a panel like in 2 seconds. Let me give a link to people. We can rant about this later. Give me a second. Click the linky. Accept the rules. Jump backstage. I love you all. Winky face. Heart. Smiley face. Okay, there. I needed to get that out of my system before the show, okay? I needed to get that out of my system before the show. And we've done that. We've gotten it out of our system. And we can go through. And Parallax says, I think you're actually pretty close in the minority here. If that's the case, we are in deep, deep trouble as a nation. If it is the case that overall, in meat space, everywhere, that I am in the minority because I think we shouldn't kill CEOs, then we are in a very deep, deep, dark place. And yeah, we're batting down the hatches. Because once they've decided this type of person, this class of person can be killed, it's only a matter of time till you're next, buddy. Right? Like... Ugh. Gross. Does Wick like to mirror the image randomly? The reason I mirrored the image was because people gave me shit about my flag. Like, the flag's hung normally, but because of how things go, like, it didn't look normal, like when I don't mirror my screen. So I had to just do that. But let me pull people on.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What is going on here?
Oh, you know. Pulling people on. Who are we lighting for? Buckaroo. Hopefully she gets here soon. Get your cameras on. Get your...
I'm getting set up right now. Hold on. Man, y'all, every time y'all move me, it messes up my camera. I don't understand this, okay? I hate Logitech, by the way. Don't get two Logitech cameras. It's not advised.
You're in, like,
yeah, I have one, and
darkness.
it just, like, stops being in focus at complete random.
Yeah. I just bought one, like, 2 days ago. I wish I knew this before.
I don't have this problem with my Logitech, so it sounds like a they problem.
Well, the issue I have is that I have one for my mainstream and then one for, like, panels and stuff. But the problem is when you adjust the exposure on one, it changes the exposure on the other. And it's just like, it doesn't ever work in sync. Anyways.
I had to use the OBS virtual cam to, like, even get Discord to, like, have the right zoom level. I don't know if that's normal, but it took me ages to figure that out.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, we're gonna give Buckaroo about a minute here, and then we'll get started. I'd like to thank all of you for coming. If I look like I got a lot of energy in me, that I'm hyped up, it's because I had to go on a little rant earlier about the CEO stuff. But hopefully that's out of my system. Hopefully we can have a great talk and a discussion about the deportation system. But let me DM Buckaroo directly, and
direct message him directly, I hope.
DM them, yes. What did you think it would mean?
I was just being stupid.
Oh,
In like 1 minute, I have
typical
to like
woman.
run for like 1 second, and then I'll be back because I have to turn something off.
Just,
Otherwise, I'm
just
gonna
do
be...
it now because we're waiting for a moment.
Okay.
Okay, give me a second. How's everyone else, by the way? How's everyone doing?
I'm doing terrible.
Oh,
Great
terrible.
and terrible.
Together we balance each other out, I guess.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. I'm doing good. I have to go back to work next week, so doing all right in that regard, I guess.
Well, we have everyone here now, so hooray. We can get started. Welcome, 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 one and all, to yet another episode of WIC TV, a cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. Gang, have we got a show for you tonight? Trump has been elected the President of the United States. He has said that he plans to deport millions of people. He has threatened at various points to call the National Guard to assist with it. Governors, mayors, and others have proposed resistance, saying we won't go along with it. We won't cooperate. Today, we're going to talk about Trump's deportation plan, what it entails, what it will most likely look like, and whether or not that's good for the country, bad for the country, neutral for the country, etc. And that's the topic today. I'm glad to have you all here, and let's get started. And we're going to give it first to Admiral Gibbs. Go ahead.
I'm excited. First of all, I'm Admiral Gibbs. You can find me everywhere as Admiral Gibbs. Two things. One, I was telling them in the back, if we do definition debates today, we got fucking Black's Law Dictionary here. I'm sick of playing the rigmarole with that bullshit. We're going to talk about the issues today, and that issue is 20 million people who came here illegally getting kicked the fuck out, possibly getting sent to Rwanda. I'm excited. You should be excited. Legal immigrants are excited. The only people not excited are people that don't know anything about ag and people that want to use this as lip service to sit here and virtue signal. The rest of America, we're fucking ready.
Well, thank you for being here. We'll get into it as we go. Doghouse Show, what you got?
Republicans are wrong. Democrats are right. I'll save the rest for later.
Okay. Confluence. First time on my show. Hopefully not the last time. What are your thoughts here? Go ahead.
Okay, mine's slightly longer, but I have it condensed to a minute. Okay, I want to make a division in the conversation between what Trump says he'll do and won't do, what he says he'll do and will do, and what he says he'll do and can't do. An example of something he says he'll do but didn't do is in 2015, he said he would do mass deportation. He didn't do it then. Example of something he said that will do, and he did do is family separation. And something that he can't do is he wants to remove jus soli birthright citizenship, which is a violation of the 14th Amendment. So there's a lot of factors, but ultimately, I think we need stronger borders. I think we need to fix the asylum process. And despite, I think, some Democrats saying we only need to do one of those things, we need to do both.
Okay. Thank you for being here. We'll get into it as we go. Buckaroo, go ahead. What you got?
I think historically we've used things like document status as an easy way to exploit a demographic of people. And I believe that if we're being realistic, we have such a massive workforce of undocumented people. I think not only is it unfair, it's impractical to consider deporting every single undocumented person in America.
Okay. Thank you for being here. We'll get into it as we go. Blacktoid.
Yeah, so I'm generally opposed to mass deportation, with exception to perhaps a few groups. I think the plurality of the evidence appears to indicate that illegal immigrants tend to have a higher labor force participation rate in their families. They tend to have less crime. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to deport all of them because a lot of them perhaps are going to come again. It seems pretty kind of like a waste of money. And immigration also expands the economy. I am all right with deporting criminal aliens, so illegal aliens who've committed a crime other than simply being here illegally, so like assault or shoplifting or whatever. I'd be okay with deporting them. I think that's fine. we're talking about a demographic here that is going to have a obviously higher crime rate than the native population or other illegal immigrants. I'm also in favor of making illegal immigrants ineligible for all welfare. I think that should be a given. I agree the asylum system's entirely broken and abused, but the solution here is to simply make illegal immigration easier, and also to end the drug war, to prevent the people of Mexico from having the push to even immigrate in the first place.
Okay, thanks for being here. We'll get into it as we go. Last, but certainly not. Lola wants to weigh into. Okay, last but certainly not least, Katusha, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, I agree with a lot of what Lactoid said as well. I do think that some things do need to be fixed as far as the immigration system. I don't agree with mass deportation. I think odds are Trump isn't even going to be able to do what he wants to do. But if he does, then I think that it would have a high likelihood of resulting in at least one like situation of mass death via disease, probably in some sort of camp or holding station, just, you know, by nature of how many people he wants to deport at once. But, you know, I totally think it's fine if somebody's committed a felony to deport that person. There's not really anything I see wrong with that, but I do think that the solution is really just to have more judges for asylum and to make it easier for people to legally immigrate. So, yeah, you can find me on social media, by the way, at Premier Katya, so hi.
Links to everyone who's given me a link to their stuff is in the YouTube description, so you can check them out there. But no, let's get this party started. Open discussion. What do we think? Go ahead. Not all at once.
The criminals.
Not at once.
Well, we all agree with that, right? At the very least, we all agree, like, if you commit assault or battery or sexual assault, etc., and you're an illegal immigrant, at the very least, we all agree it makes sense to deport these people, not only because we want these people out of our country, but also I think that it creates an incentive for illegal immigrants to not commit crime, right? One of the arguments is that the reason why illegal immigrants don't have a lower crime rate, the plurality of studies appear to indicate they have a lower crime rate, is sort of because they're living in fear of being deported. I think that fear can be good. I think it's a good thing to be afraid to commit crimes because there might be massive consequences. Those consequences should remain. But I mean, I struggle with the family or the illegal immigrant who's been here. Let's use the most sympathetic case, right? A DACA recipient who works a full-time job and has never committed anything as much as a parking ticket in their life. Is it actually good for America to remove this person?
Probably not. I mean, so here's the thing too, is like, look, I kind of
hold on, I want an answer to that question. Does anyone disagree with deporting an illegal immigrant who has committed a felony or a crime?
I would just like to explain to all criminals. So that means if they broke our entry laws, that means they're a criminal and they got to go.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. This is what I can engage with.
So even the DACA recipient that I mentioned before.
If they're here illegally and they, like, say their visas run out, DACA recipient, I don't give a shit. If you're breaking the law, time to go.
Wait, but if you're a DACA recipient, you came as a kid. I mean, that wasn't your choice.
I got two words for you.
You didn't break the law.
I'm scared.
I got two words for you. Tough titties. Lost change.
I want to make it clear too. This just
goes to support my
Go ahead,
claim
get this
that,
out already.
This is actually just a status given to people that we're legally allowed to discriminate against and
I want to
exploit for our workforce. To be clear.
I want to be very clear as well. So one thing that Gibbs is echoing is the same sentiment we're seeing from people like Tom Homan, Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller, for anyone who's unaware, was one of the things that Stephen Miller was Stephen Miller's the key architect of the travel ban, and he echoed these exact same sentiments, saying that he wants to bring a travel ban back. He also wants to do things like Remain in Mexico, even though Remain in Mexico saw over 690 American citizens being deported as well. And what Gibbs is saying is actually also being echoed when Tom Homan was pushed on News Nation about whether or not, and this is the key thing I want to hit on with what Lactoid said, we would all agree in the room that probably people who commit felonies should be deported. The issue is that when you talk about criminals being deported, Tom Homan carries the same sentiment that Gibbs just put. He wants anybody who crossed the border, they consider them a criminal. So be careful when you talk about.
I'm not limiting it to felonies, by the way, just to be clear. Well, I think that, like, if you commit misdemeanors other than crossing the border, I think that's the difference. Because, again, I struggle with the idea, and I've yet to hear a solid argument. Again, the DACA recipient who has worked their entire life here doesn't take any government money and has never committed anything as much as a parking ticket. How does it benefit America to remove this person? It's going to cost money, and we're going to lose this person who is contributing to the economy. I don't see what we get. What do we get out of this?
The economy and paying almost $100 billion in taxes into our system.
Yeah, I think Gibbs is speechless. I think we agree.
hold
This
on,
person
hold
should
on.
be-
Hold on. This
Hundred
is I want to hear from Confluence first, and I want to hear from Gibbs because they're seem the strongest on the side of get them out.
I'm very pro DACA. I would actually be down with bringing the DREAM Act back for a path to citizenship personally, but I want to make sure. So are we all on the same page about the 750,000 legal immigrants that have done crimes, and that's a low estimate because a lot of states don't track that stuff. And out of those, 200,000 are like serious crimes, like assault and sexual assault.
There's a lot of issues with that data, by the way. The data that and generally speaking, I would agree with you.
One at a time. Well, Doghouse, you can finish. I want to hear from Katya. Then I want to hear from Buckaroo. Do I call you Big Papa or Buckaroo? Which one do you want?
You call me whatever you want.
Buckaroo it is. Okay.
Anything.
I just wanted to put an asterisk there that there is a lot of issues with that data. From if this is the same data that I believe you're referring to, where the immigration or whatever it was, Homeland Security, whoever it was, sent it to that congressional person. There is some issues with that data to begin with, but I just wanted to add that asterisk. If you disagree, we could totally talk about that. But I would generally agree with your general sentiment that we should probably deport people who are certainly criminals, certainly.
Right. And I kind of have an issue with kind of the way that a lot of this stuff is talked about. People talk about stuff as numbers relative to things instead of percentages. I think that when we talk about like immigration crime rates, we need to talk about immigration crime rates, not the number of people committed crimes, because I mean, that's not the way that we talk about other groups. Like we don't say, oh, here's the number of like US citizens who have committed crimes, because that number, if you part it out like as to per capita, might be higher, might be lower. We don't know because we're throwing out numbers, and people don't always know the exact numbers of the people in these groups that they're taking that from.
The absolute number matters though when we're evaluating the scale of the operation. So if we're talking about we're going to deport all the criminal aliens, right? Okay.
Well, we're talking about the operation. That's when the number matters. If we're talking about whether we should do it or not, then that does not matter.
Can I push back?
I don't think that's true.
Everyone wants to push back on it, but one at a time, please.
Even if it's 1%, you would agree that we can just deport the 1%, and then we have fewer people to deport.
Hold on, Blacktoid.
I mean,
you actually spouted something that's not true.
For felonies,
data-wise, you argued earlier, and I know this has been a myth that people have sat here and spouted for many, many years, but thank God for the great nation state of Texas.
Why I said plurality.
Yeah, we've been sitting here. Y'all have been saying that illegal immigrants commit less crimes than American citizens. That's actually not true. Now Texas is collecting. Texas is the only state that collects data on these crimes now, and Texas is finding out that illegal immigrants are committing crimes at a 40% higher rate than the average person.
Which source?
Just go to text.gov. Text.gov's got it. All is listed. Operation Lone Star's got it. You can go in there, scroll through it. I'm not going to go through all the numbers, or we'll be here all day. I can give you more. There's all sorts of stuff because only one state collects data pertaining to whether or not they're illegal immigrants committing the crimes. It is true. Nope. I mean, unless they've changed that recently, but Texas is the only one that's been doing that for a significant period of time.
But one problem I saw is that when I was trying to research this and find like studies, a lot of these studies that are talking about illegal immigrants doing less crime are combining things like gotaways with like overstayed visas, which to me that kind of like muddies it, because if you have an overstayed visa, you've at least already been vetted to a certain degree. So it could be the case that someone on an overstayed visa does less crime because they don't want to be like kicked out, and it could be the case that a gotaway does more crime.
I just found the source, and to be clear, Gibbs misread that entirely.
No, didn't misread
Yes, you did, because I'm literally reading from it. It says the arrest rate for illegal immigrants was 40% below that of native-born Americans.
That's not what it says.
You completely misread.
You asked. Well, find it and post it, because you asked me to look it up, and I did. The very first result is a Cato Institute study.
The Cato Institute is fraud.
So I'm looking.
Sure it is.
Yeah, I'm looking at a chart.
I'll find it. Don't worry.
nij.ojp.gov. Undocumented immigrant offending rate lower than U.S. native population. Every single source.
This is where this chart.
Nah,
and
this is fake
chart.
news.
Hold on, one at a time. Buckaroo, please.
This chart that I've sent to the group chat actually sources Texas data specifically, going over the difference in crime rate.
I'm
But
seeing
that was the old Texas data from when they weren't taking the real data, right?
Yeah,
Well, keep in mind,
this
this
is one
is
from
the
the
same-
Heritage
even if-
Foundation.
Keep in mind, this is the same Texas, by the way, that has already set up a 1,400 acre land for deportation operations.
camps,
Just to be
yeah.
very clear about that. And by the way, I read up on this recently. They have already agreed. Trump's incoming administration has already agreed to use that staging ground for their deportation operations. And if you say, well, this is just Tom Homan, no, Stephen Miller has echoed this exact same sentiment when he was at APEC or whatever it was.
I'm gonna need to see the sources on that.
Gibbs, the source you're looking for is from CIS.org. There are studies that indicate the crime rate's higher, just to be clear. The plurality of the evidence appears to indicate that their crime rate's lower. There are some studies you can find that appear, I think there's one in Arizona, and there's a different state as well, that in those, one study indicates that their crime rate's a little bit higher.
Okay, let's
And to be clear, like
in
this,
Arizona, where you
I
can
have
get
a
deported for jaywalking. To be clear,
That's still a crime, to be fair.
okay. So
hold on. Who here is in
on
favor?
paper, it's a crime.
Who
I
here is-
mean, this is exactly what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about when I say that undocumented is really just a justification we use to exploit a specific demographic of people for their work, for their labor. I mean, like, if the difference between being deported and not being deported is whether or not you cross the street at the right place, or whether or not a cop randomly approached you and racially decided based on your race
Profiled.
to ask you for your thank you, racially profiled you and asked you for your papers. I mean, I think obviously there's some massive issue within the system if that's the way that they're getting people deported.
Gibbs, do you agree that there should be military walking through our streets, knocking down doors, trying to take out undocumented immigrants, and arresting those people that are inside of that house that are
Military?
American citizens?
I
Yeah.
feel like we should have
Yep.
law enforcement. Law enforcement do it.
So what about National Guard? What about the National Guard?
Well, I mean, that's a kind of a blurry line, but if they're empowered by the states,
Okay.
by the law enforcement role, sure, I'm
So
okay with
you
it.
would or would not agree with them deputizing the National Guard in order to go and?
I mean,
start knocking down
possibly. I
doors?
feel like if there's a better way, then maybe. If not, then so be it. You know, or whatever.
Well,
but it
let's
needs to
look
be
at this
done.
situation, and it's a realistic situation. You have sanctuary cities where the local enforcement, local law, the mayor, etc., say, "Hey, we don't enforce these laws here. We're not going to cooperate with any federal mandate to remove these people. So we're just not cooperating." Who here would be in favor of them using the National Guard or another branch of the military in order to enforce the federal will on a locality who is like, we don't want to follow this rule? Who here is okay with that? Kind
I
of.
mean, yeah, if we're talking about criminal aliens, sure.
We're talking about Trump. We're talking about Trump's
They're all
deportation
criminal
plan. He
aliens.
wants to get
We're
rid
talking
of
about
all
like more
of
like
them.
deputizing.
Well,
the
I
National
understand.
Guard,
The
right?
problem with this is he wants to get rid of them all. I understand
Yes.
that he said this. But I think the way they're going to do it is kind of, or the way they've said they're going to do it is kind of indicative of, I think, what's actually going to happen. JD Vance
They're gonna
was asked this
triage
question.
it.
I think so. JD Vance was asked this question, I'm pretty sure during the debate, or maybe it was some interview. I remember distinctly him saying this, that they're going to start with the illegal, like the criminal illegal aliens, the ones who've committed a crime other than crossing the border illegally. And that's about 1 million people.
But
They're going to
that's
have
the
their hands
issue.
full with 1 million people. They're going to have
That's-
their hands fucking full with that.
But that's the issue, though, because this has been the main narrative from the Trump administration, going from Stephen Miller, Tom Homan, like you said, JD Vance, is they keep saying that they're going to focus on the criminals. But the problem is how they define those criminals. This is why I mentioned when Tom Homan was pushed, the news anchor, thank goodness somebody finally brought this up. The news anchor asked Tom Homan, are you putting these people who just simply crossed the border, because to them that is a crime, they are criminals because they crossed the border, would you put those in as the same category as the criminals you are talking about in this triage? And they said yes. Literally, Tom Homan said yes.
Yeah, I would
in the
expect
same
Tom Homan to
category.
say that. Yeah, I would
Right.
expect Tom
So
Homan to
if
say that.
that's
He's
how they do
incredibly
it, then it's
hawkish.
everybody first.
Exactly.
He's still
That's
got
the
to
problem.
But that's not going to happen, because I understand Tom Homan
Right.
is very hawkish, right? But I think it's
So is
indicative
Stephen
of,
Miller.
sure, there's no doubt there's going to be hawkish people involved. And you could say Trump is hawkish, but I don't think Trump and JD Vance are as hawkish as people like Tom Homan. I think that when they say let's just focus on the the criminal ones first, and then maybe we'll get around. We'll talk about the other ones later. Didn't Trump even say, like, if you have a degree, we're not going to touch you. Like if you, I don't think he's going to be going after DACA people. I don't think he's going to be going after these people. I'm pretty sure he said that. I'm pretty sure he indicated that if you're an illegal immigrant who has a degree,
but I could be wrong.
I'll look it up. I'm pretty sure I remember him saying that. But the fact that he is adding caveats of like, we're not really going to go after these people, but the criminals, that's who we want to go after.
Was this
that's
while
reassuring.
he was running for office, or
yeah, this was while he was running. Let me
okay,
find
so
this.
then there might be some like there has to be some consideration given there, right?
$10.
Probably been a little bit more.
Let me make a little money here.
On that.
$10 from Ben Riley to say anarchy equals truth and borders equal coercion. Thank you for the $10. I appreciate that. Let me ask you, Buckaroo, because you seem to be the most anti-deportation kind of person here. That's the vibe I'm getting, at least. Is there any situation in which you think that, okay, maybe this is too much, maybe we need to deport some people? What would you like? Outline me a scenario in which you'd be like, okay, there's been a line crossed. We kind of need to get these people out of here. If there's not. I mean, you could just say, no, I can't imagine any situation. But I'm just curious.
I'm trying to think through all the circumstances that could occur that would make me think we need some sort of mass deportation event.
Not even a mass deportation event. We're a group. We say, hey, okay. I'll give you an example. We have a bunch of people who went around and they burned up a school, right? They went and vandalized the school. We should get all the illegals in this area out.
I mean, I feel like that's already a crime that could be
deported.
You could. Well, I feel like that's a crime you could also just go to jail for. I think.
So you would rather put them in prison than deport them?
It's just kind of a simple. Yeah, because I think I think the difference between them and the average citizen is that the average citizen has like some sort of document to prove that they're born in America, and they do not.
Wait, so if someone is a godaway that they come across the border and they don't encounter any border patrol agents, and then they like kill someone and we catch them, you think they should like do a 20-year sentence in a U.S. penitentiary and then be released into the interior again?
That we pay for those 20 years.
Yeah.
Then be released. I see. That's the thing. Is like I understand that argument, and I'm not.
Can they serve that
I mean, I'll just
sentence
bite the bullet. Fuck it.
Because here's a question I would have too, is like, I know that our prison systems are a little bit more, or you could say it's corrupt. There's a whole like conversation you have behind that. But typically speaking, though, they're going to very likely serve their time behind those bars. We don't have to worry about them generally coming outside of those walls unless they're like El Chapo or something, right? Whereas if they go to another country, are we certain that those other countries are going to be able to actually hold those people within their prisons? In fact, this is an argument that is made by Republicans about the Tren de Agua gang, is that they've been released from prison because of the corrupt nature of the government in that country. So is it more safer, even though we're paying for it, to them be housed here? And then instead of releasing them, I would agree, we probably should, instead of releasing them here inside the United States, they should be deported after they've done their sentence. But I feel like it's much more safer for them to be here in the United States than to be deported to their country that is probably corrupt.
I'd agree. I think that's what happens now too. If you if you do commit a serious crime, I think you do your time here, right? For the exact reason you said, because your country of origin might not prosecute you at all. Now you just
let's take it less
That's why
serious.
people are extradited sometimes to countries where they committed a crime. Like if you went to England and commit a crime, then come back here, you can get extradited back there.
But let's. I want to. This is a general question to everyone now, because I'm just curious, right? I'm real curious on a Doghouse, Kadiasha, Buckaroo. You have a person. They are given a court date, right? To say, okay, we're gonna see if you are here to stay legally, illegally, whatever. They're given a court date. They don't show up. They're given another court date. They still don't show up. Third court date comes around. They don't show up. At what point do we say, okay, someone needs to find them, we need to get them out of here?
I think, if they don't show up after 2 court dates, then I'm like, and they don't give like a good reason why they couldn't attend these. Like if it's like, oh, I was in the hospital and like, oh, I crashed my car that day. And then like, they can prove, hey, I was doing this. Like, obviously, people should be rewarded or given leniency for being forthcoming with issues they may have. But if they're just ghosting, then I mean, like, what can you do? Like, obviously,
let's run with
people
that
aren't playing
I
the
mean, I
game.
think we should
car
do it
thing.
the same. I think we should deal with it the same way we deal with anybody who's not.
Well, let's run that
Issue
crash the car
a
thing.
bench
We already
warrant.
we already have like ways we deal with criminals. We already have ways that we deal with people who don't show up to court. The only difference is that one of them has papers and the other one doesn't. And like
I think we have to talk about the
let
distinction here,
Buckaroo finish. Let
otherwise-
Buckaroo finish. Go ahead, please.
Well, I mean, my point is that I don't think there's an explicit distinction that everybody keeps agreeing that there is. I think that's just an easy thing to lean on because people don't actually want to resolve the issue. I don't even think that people want this many people deported because realistically, we have so many different labor forces that are supplemented by undocumented immigrants, and I think we would have like massive infrastructure failure without them.
I want to come back to what Kat said real quick. Katusha said real quick was the car crash thing. All right, this is kind of where I have a problem with this, and this is a big one. Is one, as a country, and I know we can all talk about the meta, like what really a country should do, but as a country, its duty is first to its citizens, and then the people that are there legally, right? So
You're really, yeah, we lost him.
Is it me or him?
There's all these
No,
illegal
that's
immigrants that are using the internet,
Oh,
and
no.
so Gibbs doesn't have the same level of connection that the other
bandwidth,
was.
oh
The
no.
bandwidth.
Gardner cut his line.
That's a
okay.
beautiful frame stop right there, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate.
Rest in peace.
Okay. Well. Yeah.
While he's frozen, I want
Please.
to ask about the distinction that Buckaroo is saying. Do you not see a distinction though? Because like if someone doesn't show up to, let's say, an asylum court hearing, the same resources and effort isn't put up to if you are supposed to go to trial for like robbery and then you don't show up. Like that is seen as like a lesser thing, and a lot of times these people there's not much accountability for that. So at least there's a distinction there where it's not just the same as like, oh, you've committed any crime, so now we're gonna like find you. A lot of the asylum stuff, you miss a court date and it's like it doesn't seem like there's a lot of impetus to go after.
Trump,
and that's still violating law to miss your asylum court date, but then nothing happens.
So one of the things I want to mention too is I think there's several layers here, and I think Lactoid hit on that a little bit when we started to kind of get into the idea of like which crime is like should be evaluated in terms of deportation. Now, if we're talking about somebody who had like an asylum hearing, for example, and they just never came back, what I would say is the most logical thing to do, or a reasonable thing to do, is just issue a bench warrant. Have them come face the judge, actually give a reason, say why they were not able to make these court dates, and have the judge make that determination based on that. But the bigger issue here is even if the judge were to say, okay, hey, we'll reschedule the court date, the problem is we don't have a lot of asylum judges to begin with.
Which is why we need more.
Exactly. And that's been kind of my biggest issue when we talk about these mass deportations, is that I've heard a lot of these mass deportations, but I haven't heard any real solutions and ways of fixing the actual core issue of immigration. Great, you've got them out, but how do you fix them from coming in, and how do we fix that asylum process? And I haven't heard a lot of that from the Trump administration. All I have heard is undocumented immigrants coming across the border are criminals and that they are bad. And this is the problem I have is when we get into criminal statistics, and one of the things that go back to earlier what we're talking about with the prisoners and them being housed here currently, that is another issue I had with those statistics that were brought up about those criminals. That statistic referred specifically to those who were not in ICE custody. So they could be in state custody and just still have not been transferred over to ICE. So it doesn't mean that they're out on the streets. And that's sometimes what is inferred by that statistic that is often used.
Gibbs
I'm gonna
said
steal man.
Gibbs said he had a power surge. Hopefully he'll be back. Oh, there he is. Okay.
Looks like he was deported from the panel.
$10 from Ben Riley while we get him back. Lactoid is scared migrants will take all the libertarian lawyer jobs in 2025. Thank you for the $10, Ben Riley.
I mean, look, it could be true. It probably is to some extent. Like, ethically speaking, I feel like as though I've reasoned out my position on this. But I think that what Trump was able to tap into for a lot of Americans that perhaps just simply doesn't apply to me, and it doesn't apply to a lot of people here, is that the kind of job that I work, and the kind of jobs that a lot of people who do streaming and are on the internet kind of work, are not going to be the kind of jobs that illegal immigrants are going to tend to be in competition for. A lot of the jobs that illegal immigrants are in competition for are low wage, blue collar jobs. And it's no surprise that this group it was so concerned about this that they went for Donald Trump. One of the things that I want to push back a little bit on is when you're saying that Trump, like, hasn't even talked about like what his idea to solve this issue is. I don't think that's true. Even if I don't agree with what he wants to do, he actually has said multiple times what he wants to do. Right? He's going to deport them all, whatever that quotes. But he wants to build the wall. And what does that mean? It means border walls. Now, is it going to be a wall the entire way? Of course not. I think we're going to see construction similar to what we saw in 2016 or following 2016. I think we're going to see when you talk about the asylum process, when people are complaining about the asylum process being broken, it absolutely. I mean, asylum was initially the whole point of asylum was, hey, like World War II just happened, and we don't want a repeat of when governments are fucking with their own citizens, or when with minority groups within the country, and they're trying to flee, that we don't deny them, right? That's what we're trying to get away from. And the definition of asylum is very focused on specific oppression from the country, right? From the government. And what has been sort of twisted over time is now people are arguing, well, no, I need asylum because the crime rate's super high in my country. That is not a valid reason to claim asylum. But there's not a lot of action when it comes to recognizing that fact. What Trump is saying is, no, we're going to recognize the fact that asylum is not meant for most of the people applying for it. Will it work? I mean, we'll see. I think that there is a lot of room for the executive to take action when it comes to asylum, and just given, I think ICE has a lot of room here. I mean, the Supreme Court has consistently ruled that immigration is a federal issue, right? I mean, this, the Democrats were super happy about this when the Biden administration was, in charge of the border. When Texas, for example, was trying to stop illegal immigrants from coming in or removing illegal immigrants, but now the shoe's on the other foot, right? Over and over again, it's been emphasized. Look, the feds have the power. The feds have the power. The feds have the power. Well, now all three branches are controlled by the Republican Party, essentially.
Can
I just
was about to say something.
Yeah,
I'll make it quick because I got booted here by the power surge. Real quick, I was going to say, based off what Katusha said earlier, was the car crash thing, and what a country's duty is to its citizens first, right? So if you have one citizen or one legal immigrant killed by someone who broke the law to get here in a car crash, that's already one citizen too many. That's not even talking about terrible things that happen when people like Trende Agua kill Lake and Riley. Like, this is a national security issue.
Lake and Riley's family would be really ashamed of what you're doing right
I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a perfect example of what happened. We have Trende Agua killed her. We have people dying in car crashes because of illegal immigrants that are here illegally. These people wouldn't have died if they hadn't been here. This happens in large numbers here. Insurance problems. With that being said, we have medical issues, medical malpractice. We have medical problems where we have the
medical malpractice.
Not medical malpractice. Medical, like where they go in there and they use the services and they never pay. This happens all the time here, and y'all act like this is not a problem. Y'all are basically encouraging slavery.
No, I'm not encouraging.
I guess doctors should just go in. Doctors should just work on people and not get paid because these people could go in there and just dip out. And then also, finally,
I think doctors are getting paid.
Y'all talked about the people that were leaving these court cases. A lot of these people don't show up to the court cases on the ones where they've already been approved for deportation, and then they just don't show up. They're like, why would I show up? I know I'm getting deported. Now, of course, they're not going to show up at that point.
$5, and then I'll let you go.
Explain how they're.
I'll let you go in a second. $5 from In Pursuit of Knowledge. How can Lactoid say Trump has a plan and not say any plan with any specifics? MAGA are liars. Thank you for the $5. Let's give it to Buckaroo. Go ahead.
Wall building is not a plan?
Could you explain, explain what you mean about this medical process? These medical processes that they're accessing.
Yeah, they drive the cost up because they go in there, they never pay. I mean, this is a common thing. I don't think you would disagree this happens.
Could you explain it, because you're saying they go in?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. They go in for whatever. They go to the ER. They go to the ER. Okay, we're gonna just walk you through this basically step by step. They go to the ER. The doctor is required to work on them. Then they leave the ER, and then they never pay the bill. They get bogus
Do
info.
you
They
have a
disappear.
source for the?
Yeah, I mean, any
We've
fucking
done the same
medical
thing
center
with
in
homeless
South
people,
Texas.
though.
Why don't you just call one of them up and they'll tell you all about it? It's in the
Do
news
you have a
daily.
source for
Hey,
your
Gibbs,
point? I'm
wait,
not
wait,
asking.
wait.
I'm not
sources.
asking
Why
about.
don't listen? Why
I'm
instead
asking
of
you for
hold
your
on, hold on,
sources. You're
hold on,
making all these
hold on.
wild
This
claims.
is
You
not
can't
wild
provide a
claims.
single
This is
link
local news. If I
for them.
like,
I mean, it's funny. Even your last source wasn't even accurate. You cited
here's what's
the
hilarious.
website and it wasn't even right.
It was
So I would
It was
love for
correct.
you
Here's
to
the
post
thing.
your sources.
Here's what's
Okay,
hilarious.
hold on,
Here's what's
Gibbs.
hilarious.
Do
I
you
can
have a
literally
source
quote
for
local.
it?
I do.
Hold on,
Yeah,
hold on, Gibbs. Gibbs,
Just
stop.
look it up. Just look it up, bro. Just call somebody and
That's
just
why these people should be made
Yes,
legal if they're working.
One at a time.
I would
I will
like to
mute
answer
all
this
of you.
since
I'll
I've been
I'll
asked
mute
this.
all of you.
Every
I
every
swear I
time
give.
I ain't even talking.
When you ask me a question, I haven't got to answer it.
Okay, we'll get to mute, and then once
brother,
we
you've been
finish,
talking this whole time.
Once we finish, okay, we can't just filibuster this whole time. I love the filibuster; it's great, but we gotta get some things. You've been asked a direct question, right? Do you have anything that you can share with the group? You can share it with me if you'd like, and I can confirm it. It says that this is happening at a good level. I'm going to unmute
Okay,
you
Sarah,
now.
can we not prioritize sharing the source?
What?
Can I?
I really don't care to hear more
Just
arguments.
wait for him to do it. Just wait for him to do
I
it.
would like to answer. I will find the source to give it to you here shortly. Here's the problem, though. Every time I bring up local news article issues and I provide them, then people want to go wishy-washy and say, "Oh, this doesn't matter in large context." So if I get this, then y'all have to shut the fuck up and not ask for a source again, because that's ridiculous. Because this happens every single fucking time.
Never ask for a source
Right, I'm
again.
sure
Never
it's an
ask for a
issue in
source
some
again if we
communities.
disagree with some way that you've read it, brother. You have to be able to provide sources for your
I have the sources. You haven't provided anything.
And if we disagree with it, you got to deal with that.
Gibbs,
Simple
can I ask you a
as.
larger question? Can I just ask you a larger question? This is like the far larger
ahead.
question other than the source, which I agree. The source should be clarified, but let's be real here. We're not going to get a really good source from Gibbs.
There you go.
But
Here's one
anyways,
from Forbes right fucking here. If you take it 10 seconds, we got our American citizens.
Link it to
5
me.
and 7.
Link
I'm
it.
not
Stop.
looking up
Stop.
sources.
Stop
You
quoting it.
can
Hold on.
Going to.
Just
No,
hold on.
here,
Gibbs.
take 10
Just give me the source.
10
I will vet
seconds.
it.
ask the question.
Give me the source. I will vet
It
it.
took you 10 seconds, and why'd you talk instead?
Delicious. Can I address this claim, please? So the way that I see this is more like either way. Let's say that what he's saying is the case. I mean, it's not like I'm going to say it's not. Sure, I'm sure that's an issue in some communities. I think that the solution here is to obviously if people are committing crimes, like they're committing felonies, like bye-bye. But like if people are working here and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and they're not committing crimes and they're upstanding members of the society, then they should be legal immigrants. It should be easier for people to get either if you want to do like some sort of probation period or some sort of like short-term like anything, people should be able to come here to work, because then if they're a legal immigrant, then they can get health insurance, then they can get a driver's license, then they can get car insurance. So these things won't be happening as much because they won't just dip. They'll be like, here's my insurance.
And Gibbs, can I ask you? I'm very curious. This point. This is like, look, we can argue semantically whether or not like who pays more into these services. There's a lot of issues there to begin with. So, are you advocating then for if someone comes in, an undocumented immigrant comes into the ER and is missing a leg, that they shouldn't be treated? Is that what you're advocating for then?
I mean, they shouldn't even be here in the first place. Maybe we treat them and then they
You're not
immediately
answering
get
my
shipped
question.
Yeah, sure. Here's
People shouldn't be driving drunk. Should you not treat drunk drivers in the
I'll build a
hospital?
bridge. I'll build a bridge with you. If they come in and they need to get treatment at the ER, we should treat them. But the minute they're done, if they can't pay the bill that minute, we ship them back.
Right. See, we all know this happens, right? Like, it's
So debtor's
I know
prison.
we're
Then. That's
asking-
essentially what we're advocating for. is
we're
the
asking
debtor's
for a
prison.
source, but we
It
know
should be
this
up to the
happens.
hospital whether they treat anybody.
I've already provided 2, and I'm about to put a 3rd and a 4th one in here.
we're
Saying
not
talking about how they do it.
We
But,
ask for a source. We
Obviously,
ask for
none
a
of us
source
think-
because we want a source.
Okay, but none of us think
I've already
that if
posted
you are
2.
in
You
an
want 3,
emergency
4, 5 more?
situation, that they're just going to let you die. We
I'm
know that
looking
they.
at
What happened? Hello? Hello?
So, there we go.
Oh, I don't know what
the
happened
man of the
there.
hour.
Am I back? Are we back?
Yeah,
Are we
you're
good?
back.
You're back.
Are we good? They got me. Man,
Allegedly. You got
They got
deported,
you.
yeah.
they got me. What's
Shoulda
going
paid.
on? Oh, but I panicked because I thought I got banned or something. I was like, what did they finally got my channel? Those bastards. But no, I'm back. Okay. Here we go.
Okay, so-
Okay.
and-
Sorry about that. Carry on.
Emergency
talk-
services, we know that they do that. We all agree they're not going to let you bleed out, right? So I feel like we don't have to
Yes.
disagree on that. And then obviously with sanctuary cities, I mean, you can get like driver's license in some sanctuary city districts. There's like a lot of stuff. So obviously in those, we'd agree too. You're allowed to access a lot more benefits. That's not true in the rest of America, but certainly in places like California, there's a lot of places where you can get all these extra services, right? Do we all agree on that?
Yeah, and
Well,
keep in mind.
I actually somewhat agree with Gibbs. I don't like the fact that this is specifically this is happening. I think that if we're already, on board that they should be working, I don't understand why we couldn't have some kind of scheme where that debt that they generate, they also have to pay. Seems reasonable.
But I think the thing is too is like and I could be mistaken. I'm not familiar with the undocumented immigrant health billing. I would assume that they're going to get any other bill like any other normal American. But either way, when we look at
True.
the fact of like, and I was trying not to get into all the nitty gritty of like who pays more and stuff, but it is undeniable at the very least, the bare minimum, that they do end up contributing to at least federal taxes. Not all of them, to be clear, not all of them, but some do because they believe that it helps them with their citizenship status. There are people who end up paying into state tax as well via sales tax. Maybe they pay property tax. I'm not sure on that end. But this is the other issue too, is when you get into that number, one of the issues I've seen is they'll say like 180 or 150 billion dollars per year, and it costs the taxpayer $9,000. The issue is that includes federal, state, and local taxes, and the burden on a California taxpayer is not going to be the same as the burden in say a Texas taxpayer for that undocumented immigrant. So I would tend to agree with you, Lactoid, that they probably ought to pay their bills. But I disagree with the sentiment of what Gibbs just said about if they don't pay their bill, that they should be deported.
Why
I
not?
think that's insane.
Well, you
Because-
can put but here's kind of where Gibbs is coming from. The effect would be the same. What you would do is you would put okay, so they have a debt. Well, you put basically a judgment of that debt on them, and then you have an order to garnish their wages. Okay, so their
Problem is,
wages are being garnished. But if they
these
don't
people
have
are on stolen
wages, if they don't have
social security numbers, though, right? Like you have a lot of these are either people that are very hard to track or on stolen social security cards. So like how with those people, I don't necessarily agree with Gibbs, but I don't know what a solution is because if they don't pay immediately, it's very hard to go after
Also,
these people. Some of them.
if someone is paying in taxes and an illegal immigrant can demonstrate that they have paid into the tax system, why should they not get the benefit of going to a hospital and getting some federal care?
So Wick, what's interesting is some
I'm
states
not
are
in
having to
favor of
deal with
even
this,
U.S.
right?
citizens. Just to be
I
clear, I'm not
think
even in
that-
favor
I
of just
understand, but
U.S.
they
citizens.
should. That's the
That's why
case,
Texas
right?
has
access
sales tax.
legal immigration,
Well, no,
so they can
but
pay for insurance and like go to a
the,
hospital. Then.
the whole point
Or
here
we
is
should
that
give them all
the
legal
argument
immigration
is that they are
status.
contributing and they're like a good thing, and so that's why we're kind of allowing them to break the law. Like that's sort of the argument that's being put forward. And so what Gibbs is saying, well, they're going to hospitals and racking up all this debt that I'm having to pay. I'm sympathetic to that. I think that's a very sympathetic argument. But I think that you could probably come up with some kind of scheme that could address this that wouldn't necessarily have to result in deportations. If they're working, which we want them to be working if they're going to be here anyway, then we garnish their wages. If they're stealing social security numbers, that's a crime. They should probably be deported for social security fraud.
Right. I think that what that brings you to is like kind of another problem when we talk about wages and stuff, which is why I'm also in favor of allowing more people to access legal immigration in a more expedited manner to make it like more of a legitimate option. Is because, I mean, a lot of the reason why people are getting undercut by illegal immigrants is because illegal immigrants can get paid whatever, and, who are they going to go to? Because a lot of them are afraid of being deported. Same thing with crime, where illegal immigrants aren't reporting stuff that they see because they don't want to get involved with the police or talk to them. So the fact that these people are unable to access kind of, enforcement measures leads to them and others, getting exploited.
There's the thing, there's an argument on the right, and also it's like a horseshoe where the sanctuary city people agree with the people on the right when they say that it's in some ways to help the illegal immigrants, as you said, because if you're being victimized, you have no recourse unless, right, you have no fear of being deported. And so people would argue that by not letting you hire an illegal immigrant, you're actually helping that illegal immigrant in some ways. Now, I don't know how much cope that is, but there is at least some degree of truth there.
Well, I think the thing is too, when you're talking about, because people talk about stuff like MS-13, when people talk about like Trinagua and stuff like that, like a lot of the people who are trafficked here from these gangs or trafficked here as part of these cartels, if they're a victim, they can't really as much go to the police depending on where they are, which is a bit of a problem because these people could be giving up names. These people could be, resources in, going after these criminal enterprises.
Let me ask Buckaroo, because I'm very curious your answer here. Buckaroo, you've said that your thesis statement here is that immigration status or whether they have papers or not is creating a second class of citizens that we can exploit, right? That we can treat in a different manner. But doesn't that go both ways? That the result of your advocacy is simply allowing them to be exploited by corporations, companies who use them as cheap labor, wage slaves, basically, in order to exploit them because they know that they're not going to go to the authorities to report any labor issues, right? They don't want to be deported. They know that they can be treated like shit, right? Isn't that a problem?
I think if you're an active part of the workforce and you are like paying into the American tax system and you're following all the laws, I don't understand why there can't be a simple pathway to legal immigration status.
Yeah,
What would that look like? Hold on, what would that look like?
If we have such a massive portion of the agricultural industry that's dependent on these workers in the first place, deporting all of them is already going to fuck us up, right? So I think realistically, if we have a bunch of workers that have already been working there, that have been there for a period of time, that haven't committed any crimes, I don't see the point
So
in
5 years of
keeping
of
them.
hard labor, and then you get to become a U.S. citizen.
Sure, 5 years of hard labor.
I don't know. I'm
US
just
citizen.
making numbers.
Well,
right?
I can. What I was going to say too is
maybe not 5 years, but I do think there should be a plan developed for providing immigration status to people who are, hardworking Americans who are pivotal to the American agricultural industry, the American economy, and they're paying into the American tax
Who here
system.
works in the ag industry other than me? Like, I just want show of hands. Like nobody, right? Hold on. This idea that
Do
we're
you have
getting
the
on the hill.
statistics on the American agriculture industry?
I do
Because
have
don't
some-
really
I
care if
have
you work in it.
represented farmers. Does that count?
I don't care if
Sure,
you
that
work
would-
in it. I don't care
hold
if
on.
you work in it if you
I have
don't also
31
have
years and own a ranch and all sorts
if
of
you
shit.
don't also
I got
have statements
statistics.
that
You
are
have
supported by evidence.
The
I have
only way
not
I'm going
just
to
vibes,
believe
not
that
just
you own a
opinion.
ranch is if you donate a bunch of money to me right now.
Wait,
then
what's
I'll
great
believe
is
it.
you can go to my. Here's the best part about that. You can go to my Discord right now and see the videos of my ranch in the general. That's fantastic. We posted it. I don't give a shit. Secondly, on top of that, I love this outcry about the ag workers when ag workers voted widely for Trump because they're sick of illegal immigration costing them money, especially along the Texas border where ag workers, especially ranchers, are losing somewhere between $22,000 to $38,000 a year based on damages due to illegal migration, and then adjacent counties, Texas ranchers are losing between $2,000 to $6,000 in damages, and that's just because people are killing cattle, destroying property such as fencing. Yeah, so whenever you sit here and start talking about like these workers, well, guess what? That hurts legal immigrants too that are ag workers, right? Legal immigrants here would have got that $38,000 for the year for the new salary. Like you're like, why do you hate legal?
It's totally fine if there are issues within. It's totally fine if there are issues within like really specific small communities. If there are some agriculture workers that are upset, that doesn't change the fact and the numbers of how many like farm workers are undocumented immigrants. It doesn't change the numbers. However these farmers feel doesn't change the reality of the situation. If you deport all of these illegal immigrants,
yeah, it's going to hurt the major
then
corporations.
You are going to lose 40% of farm workers.
Okay, let me read a couple.
Let me
read a couple of these super chats. Make a little money, then I'll let you reply. In Pursuit of Knowledge for $5. Build the wall is the right. Defund the police. It means nothing and everything. Lactoid. LLLLLL. Okay, and then Audacity.
I got to respond to that after.
I will let you. Audacity for $10. Help me square this circle. You get the funding for processing and judges, and then more migrants start showing up because they know they'll be processed. Now you're back at square one. What now? Let's go to Lactoid first, then I want to answer to the Audacity's question. Go ahead.
Yeah, building a wall is a very tangible plan. There is a border, and the idea is we put up things that prevent people from coming across. Like it or don't like it, that is a plan, right? And that has been the plan that Donald Trump has been advocating for, along with other measures, including mass deportation, which is the whole panel that we're, why we're here talking about it. So yeah, no, it is a plan. Defund the police, if we're going off of what it originally meant, was also a plan of removing money from the police. But then, of course, that was unpopular. So they kind of backtracked and tried to intentionally obfuscate it to make it look like it wasn't actually what it was. One thing that I will say, though, there is some overlap between BLM and the anti-immigration crowd in one particular way. When they hyperfixate on specific cases that aren't necessarily representative of the whole. You said Lake and Riley earlier, Gibbs. I'm going to piss off a lot of people. To me, that sounds just like BLM when they're talking about, Mike Brown. Like, it's just like the fact that we know their names and the fact that you're repeating these names really it feels like a little bit like emotional blackmail. It's not really based in fact or
it is based in fact.
Like, I just like to say, facts don't care about your feelings.
It's exactly what BLM does.
Don't care about your feelings.
And I've railed consistently on BLM. I've railed consistently on BLM.
We're gonna let you go in a second. We're gonna let you go in a second. $20 from Lawson Harrison. I own 2 contracting companies, and deporting all the illegals will collapse the construction industry. What is to Gibbs, to Confluence, and to Lactoid, sort of Lactoid, right? I know you're soft on this, right? But like, what happens then? We deport all these people. Again, contracting companies, they collapse. Agriculture, a lot of companies just go bankrupt. What's the plan there?
I think it has to be done very carefully. So, like, if Trump comes in and it just starts deporting millions of people, it's going to be a disaster. I mean, first of all, it's going to cost like $300 billion on the lower end of estimates. It's going to destroy GDP by estimates between 2 to 6% over the next few years. There's a lot of bad stuff if it happens quickly. But I think, J.D. Vance then was talking about doing 1 million a year. Well, that's a lot different than, the initial numbers of Trump said on January 20th, they're all gone. Well, obviously that's an exaggeration. And so it just depends how it's rolled out. But ultimately that gives me pause.
Is it an exaggeration?
No. Yeah, I mean, he's not going
to
be able to get
if he thinks it is, if he hears Trump say it and he feels like it's an exaggeration, then it's an exaggeration.
Okay,
That's how it works for all Trump voters.
Hold on, Buckaroo, your mic's popping a little
out of his mouth.
Your mic's popping a little bit. I don't know what's with your audio, but yeah.
How do you think Trump is going to get rid of 15 to 20 million illegal immigrants when there's not even that many in the country? But 11 million, how is he going to do that on the first day? Like, that's obviously that part you agree is an exaggeration. That's physically impossible.
$20 more, and then I'll let you go. Ben Riley for $20 more. Agriculture sector relies heavily on immigrant labor, with nearly half of the nation's 2 million farm workers lacking legal status. Mass deportation could disrupt the food supply chain and increase grocery prices. And $10 from Haywood Jablomi. Ha 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 ha. Nice. Good name. Okay, Buckaroo's argument is fear-mongering. This won't be an overnight plan. It will take years in individual cases, and each could be replaced with 2 legals who don't cost the taxpayer more than they put in. Dueling donations. I love it. Okay. We're going to give it to Doghouse, and then we're going to hear the rest of them. Yeah.
This is the thing that
I want to respond to the prior question to me too.
Sure.
Go ahead. I'll let Lactoid respond because I know that
if you want to cede your time, by all means.
Well, no, I don't want to cede my time, but I mean, at the same time, I want Lactoid to be able to. I don't want to move on.
Well, it was a question. It was a question to me, which is and the only response I have is, you're saying what's going to happen if they're deported. What's going to happen to these contractor industries? You're going to see a lot. The prices go up, and you're going to see the wages of people in those industries go up dramatically.
Which will increase prices as well, and that's something I want to hit on, is that there's over 44% of our agricultural workers are undocumented immigrants. And what I wanted to hit on earlier is that we should, at the very bare minimum, is try to provide them a pathway to at very least, an H-1B visa to allow them to work here. At the very bare minimum, provide that opportunity for them. And then if they, if there is some kind of way for us to provide them a pathway to citizenship, great. Now, what that would do then is would serve 2 purposes. Now they'd be beholden to these to our workplace laws or work laws. They would have to at least pay them a minimum wage, at least a minimum wage. Now, that would increase prices. To be clear, it will increase prices. Now, the issue I have with this is when we start talking about prices, and I'm trying to avoid getting into the talks about tariffs, but that's something that has to be considered as well, is that when we're talking about prices, there's a whole bunch of things you have to think about. When you think about the tariffs, we still import a lot of our agricultural products from Mexico. And then if we start to then not have any workers here in the United States, it's just going to increase prices even more.
Right, because
so
we'll have to import. Yeah.
Correct. And then you look at construction. I mean, we look
Which
at
we
the
do.
issue which if you look at the lumber that we're getting from Canada, and then if there's that tariff that goes on in Canada, well, then now we're going to be having that lumber issue as well as a labor issue. So there's a whole lot of issues there when it comes to pricing. And this is why I said, right now, the way that Tom Homan and Donald Trump want to operate this is they don't want to provide a pathway to citizenship. They have made it abundantly clear that they want to do workplace raids. This is exactly what they want to do. They want to go to places that they know are employing undocumented immigrants, and they want to start rounding them up. And and Gibbs has been kind of quiet. I don't know if Gibbs wants to comment on that or anybody wants to comment on
I got
the fact.
comments. Don't worry.
Okay, yeah. The thing is that
I'll
this is
never
what's going to
doubt
take
that.
place. Yeah, they've already planned this. And keep in mind, why do you think they're putting in people like Pam Bondi? Why do you think he's putting in people like Kash Patel at the FBI? Because he already knows that when you talk about does he have a plan? Yeah, he has a plan. And that is exactly why he's been putting in people in these places, because he knows they're going to be challenged on day one when he tries to implement these immigration policies. And then when you look at when you look at the fact that he's partnering with Texas already, with the land department or whatever, to end up having this mass immigration detention center. It's only December what? The 5th? And he's already done this. He's already putting all the chess pieces in place so that when January 20th comes around, boom, he can instantly implement a lot of this stuff. So, yes. Now, would he be doing 15 million? I don't know about that, but it's certainly, there's already certain things that are already going to be put in place.
I mean, I honestly think even the $1 million a year that he wants to do is like such a big, increase from what he did last time he's in office, right? In his whole term, he deported, I think, 1.5 million people. So you're already more than doubling the amount of people, right? And he already had a bunch of issues with like detention camps and stuff like that. And like the way these were implemented when it was that number, let alone when he's going to try to double it. So do I think that he could try to do, or he would try to do the 4 million or whatever? Yes. Do I think it'll go well? No. Do I think he's going to be able to do 11 million? Absolutely not. That's crazy.
I just want to note that Obama did
So he
3
has a
million
shitty-
in one of his years, and so that's like 750,000 a year. So $1 million isn't that big of an increase from even what
one
Obama
of his
did.
terms. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, in one of his terms.
One of
Yeah,
his terms.
yeah, 3 million in one term. So yeah, so a bit less than $1 million a year, but like $1 million doesn't sound crazy if you compare it to that. Now there was some things that were different. It was like easier under Obama because of where the people were coming from, and there's those arguments, but I don't think it's absolutely unwieldy to think that we could do $1 million.
$2 from Psychor to say, I just hope both sides have fun. Thank you. I hope we do too. $10 from Audacity to say prices go up, but more American citizens become employed and more of the money earned stays in country. If you're going to extrapolate price increase, please do the downtrend also.
Our unemployment right now is not as high as a lot of people think. So it's
keep
like
in mind,
so we talk about more employment. It's like there's a ceiling, right, of the amount of people that could be employed.
Well, I was gonna say, keep in mind, right? Like, how high is our unemployment rate now? Right now, it's like what, 5? Like, I don't know. It's like 200 to 700,000. It's certainly not nowhere near 1 million or 5 million. Or if you want to go as high as 15 million, I've seen estimates of undocumented immigrants. You have to replace 15 million workers that are now out of the workforce, assuming that all 15 undocumented.
Well, what's great about this?
And for open border.
What's crazy about this is literally in my chat right now, I have a guy say that his construction company shut down because they were forced out by illegal immigrants. Right there, there's one person whose company's been affected. I mean, that might be okay. Cool. Okay, that's an anecdotal example. However, hold on.
As are most of yours.
Right. My point is that I'm making, actually, whoever said this earlier is absolutely right. If we force the illegals out, more Americans are going to be employed. They can work in construction. Now, I posted a whole bunch of these articles because I waited to talk about this because I posted the articles in there because I knew we'd want sources because nobody can believe nothing Gibbs says without 15 sources. So there's at least 6 or 7 of them in there of Tren de Agua committing mass crimes. And I don't want to hear fucking Lactoid saying it's lip service like whatever BLM bullshit. This is a real fucking problem we got down here.
And when you name specific specific names is BLM
Wow.
bullshit.
Yeah, I can
Like,
name
it's a
a
problem.
bunch of names too. Thank you.
I mean, the issue is this: like, if it's a country has a duty to its citizenry first. How do you justify going, "Oh, these people came here legally. They're not even like the asylum system group. They're in all these other. They just came here, snuck across the border, and then they killed people. They took over properties. They're committing drug crimes, and y'all are just
Gibbs,
like,
how many
man,
of
we don't want enough
Trinidad has
here."
I
created?
think
Hey,
didn't
how
all
many
of us
crimes?
literally already agree that we
Yes.
think that people committing crimes in America should be
Yeah,
prosecuted?
illegal
and
immigration
many
is a
people
crime, though.
here even said they should be deported. So the crimes that you're talking about would literally
And
can
they're
Yeah, those
being
people would be in
aided.
prison
Hold
or
on, they're
be
the
by
same
mice.
people being aided and abetted by the
Yeah.
law-abiding citizens. You act
You're
like,
like,
this
what
happens in a
about these
vacuum.
criminals?
It's
Put
people
them in
turning
jail,
a blind eye.
like we do
They
with
live in the
all other
communities with
criminals.
other illegal aliens. This is a common thing. They got you
Why
might have one
can't
guy in
the
a
illegal
apartment live with
immigrants
one of them,
request?
and like 10 of them be, what?
They can't. This is what I said earlier about if more
They
of
all
these
gotta
people
go.
were legal immigrants. Okay, that's really great and all, but to the level that you're saying, there's like no like this is a logistical problem. Even if we're not going to talk about the humanitarian side of this, it's a logistical issue, like to the
Y'all-
point of
It is.
Y'all are
impossibility.
making the same argument that like people made for the mob being good because they're organized crime and they keep violent crime down somehow because
Gibbs, do you think
like, you're
every
sitting there
undocumented
saying,
immigrant
I
that
feel,
comes
how
across
did
the
I feel
I
border
like
is a
say
I'm the
criminal?
that?
only one. I feel like I'm the only one who even implied that illegal immigration could be good. I feel like everybody here has been pretty against illegal immigration the majority of the time. So I'm a bit confused what your
No,
argument
only
is.
if they've committed a felonies when I'm really like have a problem
Okay.
with people. Other than that, if they're
Can I-
working, good for you.
I want to ask
Yeah.
I think there's. I think it might be you, Katya, and you, Buckaroo. I don't know if the opinion of everyone else on this. I mean, I know Gibbs is against it. Sorry. For those of you who just want to legalize
What
it,
gives that
right,
away?
to legalize illegal immigrants. Now, I could be
I don't want to
consistent on
do
this,
so blindly, by the way. Not
Sure,
just
but
like,
I mean, well, I got a follow-up question because I don't believe in a minimum wage generally, right? But one of the arguments for immigration is, look, it's cheap labor. My question for you is, once you legalize them,
Sure.
I guess, are they going to be allowed to be paid less than minimum wage? And if not, then didn't you just get rid of your source of cheap labor?
It depends. Isn't farm labor one of the exceptions to the minimum wage law? I'd have to look into that
it
though,
is.
but I'm not
It
sure.
actually it is. Yeah.
I was gonna say it's so.
But there's
So
exceptions to that.
That's
Like you have to
clever.
provide housing. So like if I was to do farming, I'll explain this. We have legal immigrants on our ranch, and you will have like provide housing and water. So basically, their utilities would be paid for, their housing's paid for, and then they get less wages, but they're also having like stuff paid for. There's some other caveats as well, but those are the big ones.
Hey, don't
Okay,
you guys have
this
an
is-
issue with the
It's brilliant.
fairness aspect of this? And I guess I want to ask all of you that, but if we're going to make it so that if you're an illegal immigrant already working, that we provide a pathway, isn't that kind of like really shitty to the people that are like actually applying outside the country? Or same with asylum seekers. If you're coming in at an actual point of entry, we shouldn't just be giving people that snuck across and then are applying later a preferential treatment. That feels like that's such a negative
is-
incentive to have.
That is the best
Yeah,
argument.
I
Hold on,
disagree.
wanna
I
hear from-
disagree.
That's why
I-
legal
Hold on,
immigrants-
one at a time.
Immigration.
Hold on, both all of you, shut up. One at a time, because I really want to hear people's answer to this. Let's go Buckaroo, let's go Katya, let's go Doc House. Go ahead.
I think making more pathways for immigration isn't shitty to other people who are immigrating to the country, and I believe just like we've seen in the past, moves forward in what I believe to be like human rights issues shouldn't be stopped because other people had worse treatment or had a harder time before.
But
Like
I don't
I
mean
think
that. I
having
mean
better
currently you
I
will
think
give a
having
harder
better
time to those people. Like because you're giving priority to the people that are already working here. So I'm not just saying, oh, it's unfair and just like the past way. I mean, it's unfair now. Like if we were to do that. So like how do you rectify that, I guess?
I understand what you're saying with that. I personally, I think we do need to completely redevelop our immigration, our what's our immigration agency. I think there are like massive issues when it comes to immigration into the States, and that's for people from any countries. I don't think that just applies to Mexico, and I think we would probably want to allocate more money so that we have an adequate amount of workers within things like within immigration, so that we can
Allocate the money from where?
I think if you really ask, I think from all the money that
From
I
my
think should be
paycheck.
funneled into the military,
Okay, so
should go
reduce the military
into
budget
immigration.
to go to this. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, if not, yeah. And I also
That's
think
what you
the
think? That's what you think?
This part,
Well-
am I next? Who's I don't know if
Katya
you're
was
still
gonna-
following.
House.
What?
Yeah, all right. Sorry, I was gonna, but basically the way that I see this, I understand the unfairness argument, but I also feel like here's the thing. I also feel like that could be used in a lot of different ways, and there gets to be a point where yes, is it unfair? Okay, yeah, but there's a point where I'm going to use a Gibbs term and say tough titties because deporting everyone and then letting back in legal immigrants just sounds like that's not really possible. That's like you're doing way too much for like what gain? So it's fair, but like in a way that at the end of the day doesn't have as much material difference. Like
This is the issue I have is like I feel like we're talking about like what we would love to see, and by all means that's great, but we're not talking about the fact of like what is the Donald Trump plan here, and in reality that's kind of my big issue is that all these are great, these are great solutions. But what solution does Donald Trump have? And the reality is that Donald Trump's only solution that we have seen so far when it comes to these undocumented immigrants who are working here are workplace raids. I have not seen anything about what they want to do with these guys other than simply go in, start kicking down doors, and start
shipping them to Rwanda.
Yeah, sending them to other countries.
Including, now keep in mind too, a lot of people do this, and if you do this, you're wrong for this, okay? I'm just saying, undocumented immigrants don't just necessarily come from South America. Let's keep that in mind as well. So anybody and everybody would be within that category, right? So it could be stop and frisk because, what if you're a European migrant that came across the border? I'm just saying, it's a possibility. What if you're an African migrant that came across the border? Anybody's included in this. But the people who are going to be affected by this the most are going to be people who are not white. I'm sorry. I'm going to call it like it is. And there's already a big issue with racial profiling and policing, and we're going to see the same issue here. And so this is the issue I have. When we start talking about what would be nice to see, well, that's not what we're dealing with. We're dealing with, like Lactoid kind of said, a Republican-controlled House, a Republican-controlled Senate, and a very favorable conservative Supreme Court. So this is the issue. And this is why I'm like, I love that we're talking about what could happen. But the reality is, January 20th, Donald Trump going to start kicking down doors, okay? And if you're there, now keep in mind that nobody's talking about this either. Gibbs, would you agree, or Lactoid, would you agree, or Conflicts, would you agree that they should start arresting mayors of sanctuary cities? Should you agree with that?
I mean, I don't think. Well, there was that one mayor of I think Denver, that he originally said that, but then he backpedaled and said, "Well, okay, I'm not going to actually."
No, let's say they
stop
do.
it."
Let's say the mayor says, "No, I'm not going to allow you to deport people within
I
my."
mean, yeah, if
area of
he's, I mean,
jurisdiction.
that's like there was even in UC Berkeley, there was a law professor that said the federal agencies don't need the permission. So like, yeah, if he like physically stops them and gets local law enforcement, absolutely you should go to jail because the federal government has authority in that area. So yeah, so I mean, unless we're talking
yeah,
like,
but that's not quite what
hold on,
sanctuary
I want to
cities
be clear
are.
because you said a lot of words, but it's a yes or no answer, a question, and he asked you a yes or no question. So yes, you would be okay with arresting a mayor who said no.
it depends what you mean by said no. I can't just give a yes to that. If he says no, I'm not going to fund it, I'm going to dig my heels in, I don't want them to be arrested. If he says I'm going to physically stop it with my local law enforcement, absolutely he should be. I feel like that's a fair answer.
Well, and I agree. Hold on, and just to be clear, I agree with that take, right? But the sanctuary cities, my understanding is generally we're not going to stop the feds because that would be arrestable. I agree.
Yeah,
we're just like not going to direct all resources that we have discretion over to aid any kind of deportation effort. And if that's like my understanding is that's like sanctuary cities. If that's the case, no, don't arrest any of them because mayors have discretion over those funds. You're literally arresting them for not doing what you want, despite the fact that there's no legal obligation for them to do that. No, that's a ridiculous idea.
I would add like to that, like I would say yes if we could prove they're aiding and abetting. That would be my criterion on that.
That's
right?
what Tom Homan's going after, by the way. He's
so, like,
literally saying it's like 18 USC 924, something like that. It's a certain aiding and abetting of undocumented immigrants. That's what he's going after. With these
so if they're aiding and abetting, the second question I would have is, do we need to open up a broader investigation because which cartel is paying them? Like that's kind of what I want to know. Like, I feel like we need to do some bigger investigation. If they're actively hindering law enforcement from getting them, yes, jail. If they're like, oh, I don't want to make my people here do it because we don't have enough money or whatever the reason is, then maybe not. I think it just depends on the aiding and abetting aspect of it.
Why are you assuming that people are getting paid by cartels?
Have you ever met any cartel people? That's what they do. They get people on the cut book right there, and then they just pay them.
That's great. Yeah, the mafia pays people too, but like,
Yeah,
I'm not
mafia's a
getting a
problem as well,
paycheck.
sure.
Like, come on. I
Yeah, but
just
are you a
paid someone
mayor?
once.
Are you a
Yeah, but
mayor,
you're
like on a
assuming
border
that the
town or something?
only
Or a
way-
mayor
Speaking
in
right,
of
some
right,
paying
right.
city?
You're
people, I'm on
assuming
the
that the
cut.
only
Lawson
way-
Harrison has given me money. He's cut me a check for $5 to say, how do we feel about
Lawson.
ATF being stopped for gun confiscations?
Wait, what?
That's why he asked. And he paid me
The
$5.
ATF being stopped for gun confiscations?
Are the sanctuary cities where the sheriffs won't recognize the ATF? Like, is that what he's talking about?
I don't know, but
You gotta know how to
I said
parse
it for
that.
$5. We can ignore it if we like.
Ace.
Well, we all
Look,
ATF.
if this leads somehow to the ATF,
Yeah,
if
I
this
hope
leads to the end of the ATF, I will open the borders.
I hope
the
the
ATF is a criminal organization. It needs to be abolished tomorrow.
Hold on. Well, I don't know about that. I was just saying, I hope that the ATF is the first government agency shut down by Doge. That's my hope.
Hell yeah, that's what's up.
That's what
I
should
wanna-
be
Agreement with at
official.
least 3 of us, okay?
Yeah.
Back on topic slightly though. I feel as though there wasn't really a solid addressing of I think one of the strongest arguments that at least for me is one it's very convincing to me. It's not completely convincing, but of all the arguments made, it is I think by far the strongest, which is that the government has told people, look, you have to do it the right way, and if you do it the wrong way, you're going to be punished. Okay, how many people have left the country because they were told to do so? A lot of people. A lot of people have said, you know what, I don't want to jeopardize my future. I want to follow the rules. I want to follow the law. So I'm not supposed to be here. I'm going to leave and I'm going to try to legally come into the country. Well, they're suckers. They're suckers. They should have broke the law. The incentive now is to break the law.
True, they should have.
That is, well, what I think the very
That's not a
solid
good thing.
point is that, like, doesn't it feel like a little bit like gross to like be telling somebody
Reward
who's not in the
illegal
country, like, you know, sorry, bro, if only you disobeyed us, if only you broke the
Right.
law, you'd be in such a better position. It's like,
Yeah, you're
I don't know,
rewarding
it's kind of
illegal
shitty,
behavior.
Right,
right?
but
It's a
there's
little bit
part
shitty.
where it's like
I think we should
logistical.
give them. I think that everybody who follow the law should be given priority.
Well, that's why legal immigrants are very upset with the illegal immigration topic here. Like that's why I predicted in the election that Hispanics were going to start switching because a lot of them are second and third gen, and a lot of them are upset. They're like, my granddaddy had to come here the legal way. My daddy had to come here the legal way. Why do these people get this special treatment, and my family had to work from nothing to be like in here? They had to sit here like 10 years and then get to pass a test, and all these other people are just like, nah, let them stay. Like that people are mad about that, and like people
Right, in
voted.
a lot of ways, it
with
was
that.
easier to get legal immigration back then than it is under our current system, where
Yes.
some people are waiting years. So, like, if they rolled up when it was, in some ways easier,
easier?
I mean, yes.
Depends when.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Eisenhower's racist operation that I don't even think I could
I
say
mean, there
the
was a
name
period of time
because
where there
I'm
wasn't
screaming.
even.
Do not
Oh,
say
yeah,
it.
that
There
one.
is somebody who
Yeah.
has been banned for saying it.
Oh
Don't
yeah,
ruin it.
okay. No,
So
don't
he-
get
Use
me
the,
banned.
Yeah,
use
so
the
I'll call it the
initials of it if you have
Eisenhower.
to.
The Eisenhower,
Eisenhower policy.
operation. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Eisenhower
Eisenhower
policy.
policy.
And I mean, he sent them back. Like 88 migrants died on the way. They were like it was like horrible. So I don't know when it was better to do it. Like when those people were talking second, third generation, it was far worse in like the 50s, 60s than it is now.
Yeah, and then the 80s. I mean, come on.
I mean, there was a period. There was a long period of time where we didn't have
Yeah.
a militarized police force, and we
Following-
just allowed like free immigration, bordering on free
Well,
immigration.
okay,
Yeah,
we're
from
that
talking
was
like a
pre
long time ago.
1875. But when we're talking
But-
about immigration after the 1965 situation with immigration, there was an act that was I don't remember the name of it. If I heard it, I would be able to tell you. But after that one, stuff became easier as far as like people coming here with families and the like. So for a lot of people at that time, especially, it was easier, and then it was easier for people who originally, like here to have family come over here.
See-
In some ways, are easier than now.
So-
$10.
See, this is-
just real quick.
touching back on.
$10. I know money. I know I'm making money.
I know it sucks. Money sucks.
Ben Raleigh
Art
for
Teller.
$10 to say research from the Economic Policy Institute indicates immigrants in the U.S. have higher rates of entrepreneurship, contributing significantly to business formation and innovation that we exploit. Thank you for the $10, please. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would have to look at it too. Once I had to look at it's been many, many years since I've looked at it, but I believe I've seen a study where the longer that an undocumented immigrant is here, actually, the higher that their wages increase. I'd have to look for it, but it's been so long since I've seen it. But the other thing is too is like this is the issue is like why don't we just simply deport them? They came here undocumented. The issue is one, due process. They're all afforded due process once they step foot here. This has constitutionally been set in stone by our Supreme Court, so they are afforded that opportunity for due process. The other issue is that, like so many have said here, you have different layers of people who have been here. Some people came in here under one administration with one set of rules. The other people came in here under a different administration with a whole different set of rules. And then you have people like Donald Trump who wants to rescind DACA and TPS. Then you put them in a whole another bucket, especially people like who have been here. And DACA has been a big target of Republicans for a while. And this is the issue: is you have people who came here, were born here in the United States, or were here since they've been a little child, and now they want to rescind DACA recipients from that. So it's not so easy to sit there, and you have to approach each one of these as a different kind of topic, instead of just doing, like I said, a very simple, and I'm going to call it like it is, idiotic approach of, well, just deport them all. Well, that doesn't solve anything. In fact, that creates larger issues, because now you have to fund the deportation efforts. You have to create all these massive camps, which you can guarantee there's going to be some kind of disease outbreak in these camps. Then you're going to have to send them to a country that a country may not even want them to begin with. What if the country sits there and goes, hey, and I've had arguments with conservatives about this, and I'm like, what do you do when the country's like, yeah, we don't want them? And I've actually had conservatives sit there and say, no one on this panel said, but they're like, conservatives like, oh, just drop them off at the airport. Well, that really works. Then now we're having issues with our allies.
There's a meme answer there. There's a meme answer I got to that, but like I challenged people earlier in Wix server on this answer, and nobody could come up with a good response. There is one country that will take them.
Rwanda.
No, Ukraine.
Ukraine will take them too. Yeah.
Ukraine will take any military-aged male that you send them for very specific reasons.
Let's just send them to Ukraine for military service. Like this is the thing about it. Like when I have these conversations with people about like what it's actually going to look like, the amount of people who are completely okay with us just like having the military go through and like start kicking down doors concerns me about that. Like maybe you guys aren't, and that's fine. But the temperature in our country is so crazy right now that people are completely okay. People who voted for Donald Trump are completely okay with the National Guard going through, kicking down doors, arresting any U.S. citizen in that household for abetting a undocumented immigrant.
Aiding and abetting, yeah.
Yeah, aiding and abetting an undocumented immigrant. Like, if you, Gibbs,
what
and
level
you
of crime?
Well, that's just the amount of people. It's just because they don't care about facts.
Doghouse. Like, well, hold on. Well, let's talk about not caring about facts. I got chewed out for this medical thing. I posted 5 sources, and I ain't seen the source yet saying I was wrong. Looks like y'all shut the fuck up after I dropped the knowledge. Secondly,
almost as if sourcing your information is actually useful for your argument, not just everybody else's.
That's my point. As for Doghouse, my question for you.
So you're welcome. Thank you for giving
What level do you have to have on a crime before you think they for them before you think somebody should kick in the door?
Yeah, this is a great question.
Is that like not even like illegal immigrants, like just a crime in general? Like what level is door kickable offense?
This is a great question. It's a very nuanced discussion. I'm glad you bring it back.
Is this not already covered in law?
Yeah, so there's
probably not like exigent circumstances, and like there are like legal explanations for exactly what crimes you can and can't kick down doors for. This is already
for tickets.
This already exists.
So,
yeah,
so
Gibbs,
which again, it goes to illustrate the
like
and to be clear,
yeah, no, ICE, yeah, no, what ICE likes to do is provide warrants that don't have any signatures, so they can intimidate people into letting them in their houses.
Right, but if you're going
ICE doesn't even like to follow exigent circumstances or follow any law. They rely on the fact.
Where's that source?
Even under Joe Biden, they're conducting.
We're making all sorts of wild accusations.
This is a whole big issue. Hold on, Gibbs, you asked
me
a question. I will answer it.
Thing.
The Gibbs. Joe Biden, which I know you're going to be like, no, he's not. Yes, this is happening under Joe Biden. ICE has now focused on violent offenders. That is who they've now focused on instead of what Donald Trump had. Donald Trump had no excuses. It's like there's zero tolerance. They will just start busting down doors for whoever they see on the deportation list. However, Joe Biden has focused on, and ICE has focused on under the Joe Biden administration, violent offenders. Those are the ones that they're kicking down doors, trying to do raids and things of that nature. And to be clear, I don't know to what extent they're rounding up people inside those homes that are aiding and abetting. I don't know the circumstances of that, but what I do know is that they are doing some of these raids. And I would say, if you're asking me my personal opinion about who should be deported, certainly violent offenders and violent undocumented immigrants probably should. They're showing that they're having a negative impact on society in terms of harming other people. I think they should. Now, the question is, in Lactoid, you mentioned this, and man, there's so much nuance here, is the misdemeanors. Because the misdemeanors, to me, are usually just misdemeanors in and of themselves are low-level offenses. And so why would we go in and start deporting undocumented immigrants for low-level offenses? For example, wouldn't you say that, like, for example, speeding, right? If we have someone
It's not a
who's like,
misdemeanor.
Yeah, it's a citation unless it's
Yeah, it's,
like,
it's a traffic citation.
but
just
no,
to be
reckless
clear,
driving, though. Reckless driving over a certain
right.
speed
That
limit,
can
though,
be a misdemeanor.
that could be
Well,
also,
yes, reckless driving could be a misdemeanor, or depending on how bad it is, could potentially become a felony, right?
Right.
There are
Yes,
circumstances that, by the way, I agree with you that it matters on the crime. If we're talking about a speeding ticket or a jaywalking ticket, I don't really care. Now, if we start talking about reckless driving, or like assault, or even shoplifting, now we start coming into things that I'm okay with deportation for.
So
the one exception when it comes to misdemeanors, misdemeanors for me is like, if there's a dude who's an illegal immigrant who's working all the time and not committing any crimes, and like he gets caught with a little bag of weed, I don't care. I don't care at that point, right? If the crimes that shouldn't really be crimes, I'm not going to apply the standard to them.
What if
the
he
crimes that
fills
should be
out
crimes?
a gun form wrong, right? He fills out a gun form wrong.
Just to be clear, the crimes that I think should not be crimes, I wouldn't punish illegal immigrants for, in the same way I wouldn't punish anybody for.
Sure.
I've just said, if it meant abolishing the ATF, I'll see this whole argument. If the compromise, okay, the ATF, without the ATF, we wouldn't even have this form anymore, right? Ideal scenario. Abolish the ATF. Thank you.
So true.
Right.
Can I be petty real quick? I just want to be very petty real quick, okay? Lactoid, to what extent would you say, like, because misdemeanor theft can be like what is it? Like, what's the threshold? Like $100?
Depends on the state.
Yeah,
it depends on the state, yeah. Yep.
Right, but would you say like something like if someone stole, I don't know, like, what I don't know what theft. I'm trying to think of like the threshold, because I was gonna say like a candy bar, but like where would that theft be? Like, would you say like if someone stole like a TV or something like that versus like, okay, but what about like if they stole like a candy bar? Like, I'm just curious to what point we're gonna sit here and like say.
My understanding is that for states, and it is state specific, but most states, I can't think of any except I'm not an expert in every single state's statutory scheme here, but in most states, if you steal like a candy bar, it's not like a misdemeanor. It is, I could be wrong, so don't take this as legal advice. Just don't steal shit. But it's not necessarily going to be a misdemeanor. It's more likely to be a citation. I'm just going to have it like that'll be state dependent, right? If the state says, look, we have this is going to be a misdemeanor if you steal a TV or if you steal something over $100 or whatever, I'm fine with that being a deportable offense, because not only are we talking about, again, somebody who has the proclivity to commit crimes that I think should be crimes, such as either violent crimes or, in this case, stealing from people, something that I think is wrong, morally speaking, but you've created this massive deterrent effect, which is arguably responsible for the fact that illegal immigrants kind of have a lower crime rate in the first place. Why would you want to commit a crime if you're going to get deported?
Okay.
Right? We can emphasize that effect if we say commit any crimes, you're deported.
I'll let responses go. $5 from Happy Trees to say, what taxes do illegal immigrants pay besides income tax? And then $10 from Ben Riley to say this. Studies have shown that cultural diversity in U.S. cities is associated with higher wages and employment density for native-born workers. Thank you.
Correlation, not causation, just to be clear.
Sure.
But do you not think that there is... So, and this is to Gibbs more than you, Lactoid, because you've already acknowledged that there are benefits to immigration, right?
100%. Yeah. Yep.
Tons of benefits, even to illegal immigration. What if we start to enact this plan? And this is to you, Confluence and Gibbs. We start to enact this plan. We start the deportations, what have you, and the economy tanks. Inflation shoots up. Prices shoots up. People can't afford gas. People can't afford food. People can't afford homes anymore, right? Even to a greater degree than there is now. Do you admit you're wrong? Do you? I have
the perfect solution.
What's that?
Do what every country does, and if the economy is tanking, then you get more legal immigrants in, but in a proper way. So like if any country is like noticing, oh, we're missing this specialty work class, right? The US, then it would issue more H-1B visas, right? If you need more agriculture workers, issue visas for that. So I think there would be a process of converting in some ways the illegal to the legal if it came to that, which I don't know if it would, but if it came to that where like our GDP sucks, our economy sucks, well then we can legally immigrate those people and we can always immigrate more,
How long-
right? There's not a shortage.
How long do you think that's going to take, though? This is the biggest issue. Is like you can instantly, for example, by the swipe of a pen, implementing like tariffs, for example, you can do that and instantly like dramatically change our economy. But to do what you're proposing is a complete system overhaul that could take years to actually start bringing in people. And again,
But why is
do
that
we
a
stu-
system overhaul? We could just
I
be
like-
issuing more green cards. That can be
hold on.
done pretty easily.
Well, I want to.
Well, we'd have to get a lot more people to litigate these.
Let Gibbs go
things.
for a little bit. Let Gibbs
Yeah,
go for a
sure.
minute.
Okay. I'm gonna meme a little bit with I agree with the like increased legal immigration. I've always advocated for making it easier to immigrate here. I've always wanted the wall on both Canada and the southern border, and then make it easier. That being said, sometimes
Canada.
Yeah, because fuck Canada. Secondly, like on top of that, like there's this
Lactoid,
argument
our
that
Canadian
dogs-
resident here, is very offended.
I know
but
he's
go
very
ahead.
upset. But Dog makes a point that I don't think is necessarily negative. Sometimes you take a hit up front, right? And then that hit sucks, but then you come out stronger on the other side because now we're investing in manufacturing here. We're investing in domestic construction. We're investing in domestic farm labor. We're investing in more legal immigration.
Where would
More
those be
legal
without
immigrants are going to be able to entrepreneurs. More legal immigrants are going to get to keep their jobs and not have to compete with an illegal market share. The market will self-correct in these kind of things, and that's the wonderful benefit of being living in a capitalist society.
Why
It's a
would
real
I-
simple answer.
I have heard so many people say this. They're like, we'll find
it's
out
just how
later.
the
Why don't
eco-
we just not
economics
find out
The
at all? And
revolving door.
like, why don't we just flush this idea out first before we implement it, or instead of being
Yeah,
like
because
a
that is the
shotgun
idea.
approach and just start saying, screw it, we'll find out if
But
it's
why
good
don't
or
we
not.
just throw shit at the wall and see what's
Why,
there?
why
Right.
should we?
Why
Why
not?
should we just like give these people who broke our laws to get here, just give them the whole country on a silver platter? Like that's the next question.
Because
like,
the two options
it's
that are on
fuck
the table
Americans,
right
Logic,
now,
I think, is
One
wrongfully
side-
exists in the
Nobody
first place.
said that. You're being bad faith.
no, that,
One
I'm not
side-
being good faith. This
If
is
it
like
was illegal to be
literally what I'm
happy, I'd
saying.
be happy every
Thank
day.
you for saying that. Yeah.
To be clear, one side is sitting here saying, hey, you know what? I don't want to tank our economy by deporting all of our
It's not going
44%
to
of
take
our
our
undocumented.
economy.
You don't think deporting
Sorry?
44% of our undocumented immigrants, you don't
I
think
don't think
that
so, no.
deporting 44% of our agricultural
I think it might
Did
be
you
a small-
recently
I might-
just?
I don't
didn't
want
you
to
just
deport
talk
all
about?
those people. Just to be
weren't
clear.
I think I might hurt a little bit, but I think we'll come out stronger.
Stay in the corner.
Well, I think that here's the thing, Gibbs. Like,
So it will hurt.
different
sure,
sectors
everything-
of the agriculture
sometimes working
industry are
out hurts
hurt
when you're fat,
differently
you know,
or
like-
help differently.
Like, all right, when you work out, you have used muscles you haven't used in a while, you get sore, right? We're going to experience the soreness as America strengthens its
Why don't we
muscles
just
again.
not experience the soreness at all? Why do we have
So
to
deporting
experience all this?
hardworking-
So you just want us to be
deporting
fat pieces of
hardworking
shit sitting here
Americans
like
is
this, like
working
I
out.
look
It's
like
worked
Bobby
for you
Beagle.
so far, Gibbs.
I think
No,
if we
it's
were really
amazing.
trying to
I'm
work
going
out,
with
we
you.
would be putting. I think if we were really trying to work out, we would be putting our efforts towards our government agencies and systems in place specifically to allow for better immigration. I don't think we'd be focusing on deportation. I think we'd be focusing
Your
on
mic's starting
immigration,
to pop
especially when we
again.
especially when we have like so much of the workforce that's made up of these people. I just
This
think
is-
it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gibbs,
this
I
is
think
why
we
do
can
you-
bite that bullet though. Like you,
Yeah,
the
I will bite that
GDP
bullet.
estimates, like I said, are as high as 6% loss over the next like few decades. I mean, that is a massive hit to the economy, and I think we
Sure.
got to acknowledge that. I mean, I think
I don't
it
think
needs to be
someone said
done
it's not.
carefully for
I
that
was
reason.
obsessed with the economy before
Why?
the election.
Why
I
do
mean,
we
but-
have
but
to
what
sit
I'm
here? Like,
saying
this
is-
is the thing,
is
right?
like,
Yeah, no,
what-
she's exactly right. Y'all sat here the entire time during the election going, Joe Biden's economy is so bad. Look at inflation. And
Because we
y'all
want
are
an
now
economy that's
advocating
good
for
for
inflationary
Americans.
policies.
And then you're like,
what the hell
oh,
is
if
going
it's
on?
Trump's inflation plan. Oh, he's
Investment-
got a bigger plan. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
oh,
Like,
thank
investment-
God! I love that one.
No, investment in legal immigration and American business because we're getting rid of the
Slavery,
illegal
we can do this in a
immigrants
way that
is
doesn't hurt
good.
the economy,
Is
bro.
good for the economy in the long run. Just because some of these bad short term, y'all are so focused on like the gratification now that y'all can't ever see a big picture long term.
There is no big picture. It's an
Y'all
inflationary
are-
The
policy.
big picture, long term, is
Well,
providing
can
them
you
proper
can you
immigration
understand that
into
like
states.
simultaneously there could be a hit that maybe hurts us short term and it benefits Americans long term because hey, we did something that's going to like improve us. Like I don't know, like starting producing chips here. You know, like that was a good idea, right? We've been taking a hit because guess what? We've been getting them from these cheap places overseas. Turns out those people are fucking evil and they hate
It
us.
won't be
and
cheap
maybe
when
we
Donald
should
Trump
invest
I
implements
here.
his
love-
tariffs.
I love your justification for the Inflation Reduction Act. Too bad that so many conservatives are just completely stupid about that. About how like, oh, the economy didn't get better one instant after COVID. Oh no, and now we understand long-term gratification. The minute Trump won the election, now we understand. Okay, that makes some sense.
Because he was making bad policy decisions.
Okay.
This is the thing to me is it's like why don't we flesh these ideas out? Why can't we just do the more simple route that won't harm the economy at the same time? Like, so be clear. Like sorry. Wait,
Doghouse. No, I have a question for you. So you'll be able to continue talking, right? Like you keep saying, flesh out these things. Give me your plan for fixing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, because I have so many ideas here. Okay. So first of all, we should
don't like go on a fucking 10-minute monologue.
No.
Give us
I'll keep it short. I'm not Fabian
TLDR,
Liberty. I'll keep it
please.
short. I'll keep it short. I promise. Okay. I'm not Fabian. So what I will do is I would say, you try to find a pathway to citizenship for a lot of our undocumented workforce, okay? Don't deport our undocumented workforce. That's only going to cause a lot of issues in the market. Second of all, what I would do is, absolutely, try to strengthen our border processes so that we don't have a lot of these immigrants coming across the border and we're able to stop them. Second, we should absolutely fund our asylum judges. Asylum judges, we should actually absolutely strengthen our border with some of the ICE agents or immigration God, I'm blanking so hard. Border enforcement, we should absolutely have them enforce. There's several ways that we can tack this, but I don't believe that the easiest way, which isn't really easy to be clear, and it's such a simpleton idea, is to deport them. This is the issue I have.
It's probably one of the most expensive options out of all of them.
For sure. So it's like, why not go through doing these? This is where I'm thinking that is going to be the best way. It's preventing a massive inflation in our economy. And again, even then, you still have to replace those 44% of undocumented workers who are in the farm field. And again, keep in mind, American workers should still go work out in these fields, by the way, but they don't. So this is my whole thing is again, flush it out that way. Do things like I said. I know the bipartisan border bill was a big issue because a lot of people are like, it had Ukrainian funding, freaking out.
Which they then removed,
But funding is the best way to this solution instead of just deporting. Why is it always got to be deport? When a lot of these people are contributing in a way to society.
Why?
Right. And
no,
again,
hold on, no. Don't dog whistle. Don't try to just say it with your chest. Well, why?
I mean, I have already explained. I do think the distinction between the American citizen and between the illegal immigrant is literally just an excuse for discrimination. I already outlined. I mean, racial profiling is one of the ways that they're catching a lot of people. Obviously, race and illegal immigrant status
discrimination.
Are
to be clear, discrimination on racial lines is your argument.
You know what? I want to argue the opposite.
I think it's necessary. I think it's necessary though, just based on the nature, the demographic of the people that are being discriminated against.
I would argue that the people that
you guys are making BLM arguments.
It can't be untangled. I think it's ridiculous to untangle.
No, I want to argue that the people that are pro what they're talking about right here and saying not deport them are actually pro slavery and sex trafficking. Because guess what?
Here we go. See, if you're not for us, you're going to.
No, this is real because the people that
I'm advocating for workers' rights. I'm advocating
illegal immigrants are taking advantage of it a large
so massive federal wage.
Listen, I just let you talk. I'm jumping in now. Listen, the illegal immigrants, we catch them all the time, are being sex trafficked in massive numbers.
Why do you? Okay, Gibbs. Why do you?
Because
always
be able to go to the cops. I wonder what would help that.
This is massive numbers.
Every time we bring up immigration, the first thing that conservatives bring up is crime. Gibbs, are you willing to admit that a vast majority of people that cross the border are not criminals? Or let me be clear, I'm not violent criminals?
Who knows?
Well,
we don't know.
Hold on. To be fair to Gibbs, he is saying that there are crimes being committed against them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, the best way to do
that is one of my issues.
Hold on, because
one at a time. Please.
Yeah, so the illegal immigrants here are being taken advantage of. It's not by the people that want to deport them. The people that want to deport them say, all right, let's get rid of them, and then they can come back in the legal process, right? And we know who's here. We know what's happening. We know they can get their rights taken care of. Now, what y'all are proposing is, let's leave them here. Let's let them keep getting taken advantage of. Let's keep letting them be sex trafficked. Let's keep letting them live in communities where
what I said is that they should be given.
And let's keep letting them
raise your hand if you want illegal immigrants to be sex trafficked.
Look. Because y'all are basically allowing that. That's what's happening by not enforcing the current border laws or enforcing the wall.
How many people are being?
Or you could just have other options that you believe in. It's not one or nothing. It's not, you love to sex traffic everybody, or
those who are
you
doing
want to deport everybody. Which is.
Those who are doing the sex trafficking and committing crimes and doing that should be deported. How are we going to find out who these people are? Easy. The people who are, who are being harmed by this should be more able to report these things by knowing that they're not going to get deported by them being legal immigrants.
Gibbs, I have a question for you.
Hell yeah.
Gibbs. So, what would you say to this? An illegal immigrant reports a sex trafficker, and that leads to the sex trafficker's arrest. Should we reward that illegal immigrant with citizenship?
They should get a green card.
I would be inclined to like some sort of reward program targeting the cartels and other groups.
Involving legal citizenship.
Yeah, I would be open to that. Like, I'm not against the pathway to citizenship at all. Like, I've even offered on these panels before, if you give us a secure wall, I would even offer amnesty at some point. But nobody took us then, and now we've gotten to the point where all right, that's off the table. Let's fucking build the wall and let's deport them because y'all didn't want to play the game. And so now it's y'all's people that are sitting here gonna have to pay the price because y'all wouldn't compromise and y'all stuck y'all's head in the sands. And now y'all
a mass deportation. Y'all are like no compromise. I just want to deport them all. Like that. What compromise is that?
Y'all told us we didn't have a problem for years. Years y'all said, "Ha ha, stupid
That's not
people
what
on the border."
said.
Yes, y'all did. Yes, y'all did.
Nah.
I can't even tell you how many panels they come
down.
told
about the period of
they
time
didn't
during
happen.
which illegal immigration was on a steady decline since
Talking about the
2009. Those years where it only started going back up in 2022, and before that it was on a steady decline.
Non-Fawn, thank you for the raid. Thank you,
That goes into
Raiders.
Gibbs' point, though.
Okay.
Can I speak to Gibbs? Can I ask Gibbs a
Why
question?
did illegal immigration started going up in 2022?
That's cool. So, COVID ended and, the numbers spiked right after that. But I would like to ask Gibbs a question. Gibbs, how do you think this mass deportation situation is going to, do you have, any insight into how this might be carried out, logistically? Because that's my biggest thing other than the humanitarian stuff is logistically, what are they saying we're going to do? What should we do? What are they trying to do?
I mean, I don't know, but whatever they do is going to create U.S. jobs. Is it not? If they have to build camps, that's U.S. jobs. If they build infrastructure, that's going to be U.S. jobs. Transportation, that's U.S. jobs.
1940s calling. Oh my God.
Y'all wouldn't work with us when we were sitting here. This is what I'm saying. Y'all are sitting here laughing, going, "We didn't say this." I can't tell you how many panels I came on and I bitched about how my ranch is getting damaged. My cousin's ranches are getting damaged. My family's ranches, my friends.
So deport them all. My ranch is getting damaged. So
we wanted.
You're shadow boxing right now.
We were willing to work with y'all. We were willing to, and y'all wouldn't do it. And now we're at the deportation stage.
Deport them all.
Wouldn't work with. So yeah,
Gibbs, you didn't answer my question. You're shadow boxing. I'm right
not shadow boxing. I just gave you the answer.
You're talking about previous panels, and I'm asking you what your plan right now.
I write my plans right now. We build facilities. We build logistics hubs. We build whatever. That all creates American jobs.
I think they're asking specifically as the rating problem. The rating
How are you
question.
going to prevent the violation of rights and or a humanitarian crisis and or mass death event due to disease? How are we preventing this? Let's go.
Well, as long as it's contained, we ship them out fast enough, efficiently left, and we don't have to worry about it.
Okay, what are we going to do?
Is that a prevention? Is that a means of prevention? Is that a means of prevention? I didn't hear you actually answer her question.
I mean,
all these people have to have due process hearings.
Well, they can have those process hearings in another country. We can have.
Okay. This is what I want to lay this out.
So just make all the other countries do it?
No, hold on.
Just make the other country do it? Is that your answer?
Hold on.
That was the answer for the wall, too, wasn't it?
Rwanda's already offered. Right, so let's just hypothetically take that. Let's ship the people over there. We'll send doctors over there. We'll send whoever wants to go over there. We can do that. And guess what? We can put the judges over there, and they can do the hearings over there. And guess what? I guarantee you, they'll stay in the camps.
What will that get us?
So we don't have to worry about them disappearing and not showing up to the hearings because you probably don't want to go run wild in Rwanda.
Gibbs, I'm going to tell you something.
This
is the issue I have here is that
problem solved. There's your answer.
How this would look in practicality, based on what I have heard from Tom Homan and Stephen Miller, because Tom Homan is the border czar. We give so much crap to Kamala Harris, so I'm going to give some crap to Tom Homan. Is when we sit here and talk about what would end up happening is you're probably going to have some kind of a snitch line. Now that one's not been said verbatim, but that's been implied. What we're going to have is we're going to have people knocking down doors. That has been very heavily stated. You're going to have the National Guard assisting in, I assume, the logistics of this, but you're going to have local law enforcement going through and serving warrants on people who are on either the criminals, which, again, we know that these are going to be people who are just simply across the border. And then what they're going to do is they're going to transport them either to the jail or then to an agricultural. They're going to send them to that deportation center, right? Which in Texas is like 1,400 acres. The real question is, are they going to be afforded bail, because again, undocumented immigrants are afforded bail.
Which take
So
away
if they're
that.
if they're not afforded bail, there might be a violation of constitutional rights there. But if they're not afforded bail, guess what means? That means that they're going to be housed there until their case goes through the court system. Now, even more so of an issue here is that you're going to see a lot of these cases probably make their way up to the Supreme Court, which means they're going to be housed at that detention center for who knows how long until it works its way through there. Meanwhile, they're going to try to consistently push these guys off to other countries, and their countries are going to be like, well, we don't want them here. This isn't what we agree with.
Well, we don't want them here either. So what's the problem? They
And
don't
keep
want them.
in
It's their
mind-
people. Let them have their people back.
So,
Like,
okay, Gibbs, okay, what do we do?
Yeah,
We load them
Rwanda
up on,
can have their people from Mexico
well,
back.
we load them up on a
Rwanda
plane.
wants them anyway. I
And
don't know why
what
they
do we
want
do?
them,
Do we
but they
just drop them off at Mexico's doorstep? Even if they don't want them, we violate their airspace and we just go and drop them off at an airport that
I
right
mean,
there?
that's the benefit of being a superpower. Guess what? Tough titties, bitches.
So
We
you
got
wanna start a war with
B-52s and you
Mexico?
don't. What's Mexico going to do? They can't even beat
You
the
want to start a
cartels.
war with Mexico, Gibbs?
I-
Just say it.
Mexico already said they're going to
A
start
whole
putting in
country's got to say tough titties, but you and your homies can't?
Hold on. Mexico already said they're going to stop the people coming across the southern border because they
No,
don't
they
want the
didn't.
25%
That's
Trump
wrong.
tariffs.
And in
That's
fact,
what he said.
she had to state, she
I
had
have
to
the
go
quotes
on
from
Twitter
Jill
saying we
Steinberg
did not
here
agree
saying-
to that. What she did agree was to try to help slow down some of the caravans, and what she's already done over the past year, that immigration has gone
She
down.
said it was
under Joe
very
Biden.
productive and they were doing
It was
already
a very
starting the
productive, but she
process.
mentioned
They're already
nothing
starting the
about
process.
shutting down the border.
She's been in
In fact,
president for like a couple months.
She had to come out and publicly state that that was not what she agreed to. And this is actually one of the reasons why I believe that Donald Trump is starting to chicken out on his tariff policy, is because that Donald Trump is doing the thing where he's trying to beat his chest saying, see,
David
I
says
did this.
today-
He's saying, no, hold on.
today-
He's beating his chest going, see, they agree to this. This is what they said. And he's lying. to make it
Today,
sound as
she
if he
asked
did
Trump to
accomplish something. He
deport
didn't accomplish
illegal
anything.
immigrants to their home countries directly. Today, she said this. She's willing
directly,
to
right.
because she's
Not
willing
every
to
other place.
because she's willing to stop the southern border and stop them from
That's
coming
not
up
what she said.
now. Yeah, that's what she said today.
Okay,
Yeah, to their home countries
Okay,
is the
I have-
operative word.
Because she's
I do have one more question for the anti-deportation people, right? Just to kind of we are coming up on time, right? We don't got too long left, and I want to make sure I get to this. What's with the jazz hands? But fair enough.
For fun, why not?
For fun, why not? Okay, I'll accept that answer. The question I have for you all is pretty simple. Do we acknowledge that immigration, illegal immigration specifically, is a problem in America that is hurting its citizens? Do we actually believe that? Or do we believe it's not a problem, it's being overblown, this is just talk? What do we think?
I think that it's both can be true at the same time. Yeah, the way that our immigration system runs and the issues in the system, yeah, it is absolutely a problem that affects, both citizens and non-citizens alike. Yeah, there do need to be reforms. Yeah, there is an issue with people, committing crimes or whatever, but it's not to the level that people are saying, and it's not to the level where we should consider losing 8% off our GDP or deporting 44% of workers in a sector over it.
Okay.
Like, I think that
Just hold that in.
that's
I want to get
crazy.
everyone's answer before I ask the follow-up question, right? So you believe there are some problems. Hold that in your mind. Figure out what those problems are. We'll get to it. Doghouse.
If I'm going to flesh this question out a little bit. When
Oh
you're
my
saying, okay, do I think that they are inherently a problem? No. Do I think there are problems with our immigration system? Yes. Is that better?
Hold that in mind. It's
Okay.
not really better, but we'll go with it.
Okay.
Buckaroo.
I think there are
Any
I think a lot of
negative
people think
outcomes
there
to
are
illegal
problems.
immigration? Any?
That changes my
I mean,
answer.
obviously, I think the mistreatment of undocumented workers would be an outcome of illegal immigration that I disagree with. But past that,
So
I
to the
think
native
there are-
population,
there are
right?
specific people. Yeah, so there are specific people who have said they have concerns over individual cities that they feel have been flooded by undocumented workers and that people feel like they're being pushed out of their jobs. While I am somewhat doubtful sometimes of the claims like these that people make, I wouldn't say that is a non-issue. I think I understand people feeling like they're being pushed out of their sector by workers that companies are, willing to pay less. I just don't think being in the
You can
country
say no
is
if you
the
don't
problem.
think it's there's a problem.
Well, I'm saying like I believe there are like knock-on effects that
the
that
follow.
I wouldn't
maybe
say
help.
are an inherent that I wouldn't say are like only a result of undocumented workers in the country.
maybe
I would say that these are problems that are like knock-on effects.
Maybe my
so
follow-up
I
question.
think
Maybe my follow-up question will help you all, right? Maybe. What is your plan to deal with those externalities, those knockoff effects, as you say? We can acknowledge that there is real pain in the country.
Yeah.
There's real pain in these communities. They're struggling. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the resources. So what do we do? If not deportation, how do we fix that pain? And I'm not talking long-term. I'm talking now.
I mean, that's a really, really like broad question. Like, how do we fix their pain? I mean, you could sit there and say, now I can give you a broad answer like governmental funding, right? But I would say providing a pathway to citizenship, maybe. I mean, I'm gonna give you the same answer I've been given for the past 2 hours or whatever, or hour or 2 hours, yeah, almost 2 hours. I would give you the same answer. I mean, that's the way to do it. And we would also try to help them by getting these people out, like we talked about when Gibbs brought up some of these trafficking issues. We would certainly bring those bad actors and take them out of the country. I think that's that's a broad solution. I would.
Okay. Well, what are the other answers here?
I think that we need more judges, and we need to be able to handle the due process hearings of people who have, committed crimes a bit faster. And we need to not draw out the process longer than it has to, because that is what causes a lot of the issues surrounding deportation. Because, I mean, some deportation has to occur, obviously, but it should be, obviously according to legal processes.
So deportation, just less of it.
Deportation of those who have committed felonies, but everybody else, I mean, if you're working pathway to citizenship, dealing with that way, as well as just kind of, maybe potentially a system where people are bumped up on the list if they have been a victim of these like criminal enterprises, and they're able to report some of these people and assist us with that, then they should definitely be bumped up a lot faster, potentially to citizenship.
Okay. Buckaroo.
So I guess a part of my issue with the question is what are the pains that the people are feeling in the first place, and are they actually a result of? Are they actually like a necessary result of undocumented workers in the area, and is like what other ways can we meet the people there? Because I think some of the pain that you're talking about, I'm not going to say that none of it is from undocumented workers, but what I do believe is that this uproar wouldn't exist if there weren't other issues that were that the average American citizen didn't feel like were being addressed. And I think illegal immigrants, I think undocumented workers are used as a scapegoat for that, because it's an easy solution to a much more complex issue that's about like the infrastructure and how it isn't supporting a lot of Americans, especially people who are in labor jobs in the labor field, people who are working, more closely with.
Let me read a few super chats and then
not in offices. Sorry, that's basically what I mean. But yeah,
read a few super chats. So yeah, but finish your answer first. Yeah.
So yeah, I think deportation is just another way to kick the can down the road of actually meeting the needs of the American citizens. And I think if we actually tried to meet their needs, and if we actually tried to assess their needs and then meet them, we probably wouldn't see such a massive call for deportation, and we wouldn't see people feeling like they're being displaced.
Okay. $5. And while I read these super chats, I want Confluence and Lactoid and Gibbs to think of whether or not those answers were acceptable to you, why or why not. Okay. $5 from Non-Fun. Immigration peaked at the same time as job vacancies, plus government spending doesn't create net jobs unless there's idle capacity. Good stream, Wick. Thank you for the $5. And thank you for the raid, Non-Fun. I appreciate it. $5 from Ben Riley. Using the Army to carry out mass deportations, probably unconstitutional. Thank you for the $5. And then $5 more from GNR 1290. All this talk about how it would affect the economy, it seems like an argument for something akin to slave labor. Thank you.
Such a worn out argument. I am so tired of that. I'm so tired of this argument that like because this I've had so many other arguments. It's like Donald Trump has taken such an extreme stance on the right to like do straight up mass deportations. And then they like when you sit there and go, yeah, I think that extreme stance is pretty bad. Oh, so you believe in the other extreme? It's like, no, I believe in a pathway to citizenship. How is that? That's antithetical to the idea of slavery. And so it's wild to me to see this like argument coming from the conservative base. It's just wild to me.
Well, I do think it is fair that they are talking about like the mistreatment of workers. Like these workers are being mistreated.
Sure.
They are being exploited. This is an issue where like people are being discriminated against, whether on purpose or in practice for their race, and they're being discriminated against based on their undocumented status. But like, I don't think likening that to slavery is the big issue with the criticisms that Republicans take. I would actually say that's a pretty reasonable take, considering it is just the justification of their like mistreatment, of like lack of adequate healthcare access, underpaying. So while I agree with part of what you have to say, I think.
Sure. Okay. Well, I'll just ask the other side here. Are those answers acceptable to you? Is that something you'd be like, oh, that's reasonable. We can work on that. That's something we should do. Well, let's start with you, Confluence. You've been pretty quiet. I'm just curious.
Okay, some thoughts. I don't think it's a full solution, and I don't think it gets at the core of the issue. I think it can help. Like I think having, a pathway to citizenship and stuff is going to be a thing that we need for a certain amount of people. But I do think that we need broader strategies. And could I use this time to present a compromise and ask if people agree with it? Okay.
Go ahead.
So what if if they're not that this is going to happen because Trump wouldn't do this, but what if people were given, let's say, 3 months to come forward? It's a voluntary thing, but you're told you have to do it, and then you check if you pass a fear interview to see if you have a credible threat of fear for asylum. You check if you could qualify for any visas, and then you do that to see if you have a pathway to either staying or getting citizenship. And then if you don't voluntarily submit yourself, then now we're door kicking right now, because now you've been given the chance to present your case. And then if you're not presenting your case, it means you either can't qualify for citizenship or you've done some crime that you don't want to be caught for, in which case we should be deporting you. So I feel like that gives everyone a chance to come forward and state their case, and then it also gives them the chance to not. Does that sound reasonable to you guys?
I would say
maybe after. Sorry, go ahead.
I think I'm probably gonna say the same thing you are, possibly. Only if the funding is there and the systems are built in place to handle that influx over the course of 3 months. We can barely get an asylum claim over the course of 2, 5, 10 years. We can barely get an asylum claim through that with the lack of asylum.
I guess I'm saying you get a court date. You get in 3 months, and then you're in the process. As long as you're in the process, you're fine, you're untouchable. And then you're at least in that process, you're tracked, they know where you are, you have to show up to routine meetings, and if you fail that, now it's door kicking time again. So I feel like that kind of solves both things, in my opinion. Or no, I mean, what am I missing here? Is that too utopian?
I mean,
no, my issue is just under the current system, right? Like I think that for certain people, obviously, I understand for asylum, people have to be seeking asylum and meet those standards. But I think that a lot of the time with visas and stuff, even temporary visas, a lot of the standards for that are a bit stringent, so you would still end up in a mass deportation situation that might necessarily not be justified. I think that if we were kind of more open to people being granted work visas at a little bit higher rate, sure, yeah, but under the current system, I'm a little concerned about that, and obviously I'm concerned about corruption implementation stuff, but
Fair.
I agree with Katya on that. I think. Oh, I had something specific. I agree with Katya on that. I think my only major worry would be, other than what Katya mentioned, or Katusha, sorry, I don't know what you prefer.
It's fine. Either, I don't care.
I think my major worry would actually just be fear. Fear that would stop a lot of people from coming out in the first place and actually reporting. And I think you would just inherently result in deporting a lot of people who might have otherwise gone if they weren't just that scared that it was, maybe some sort of program by ICE trying to catch them or, some other situation. So I think if we could at least ensure that they would, again, utopian, absolutely not be scared to come forward in the first place, then I think, I think even then Katya's issues
Okay.
still stand, but that's my big complaint.
Fair enough. Okay, Lactoid, what are your thoughts here to their answers? I know it's been a while, right? But like their
No,
answers.
I think their answers are basically, non-surprisingly, a little bit Biden's proposal, right? That's sort of what they want to see. I have some disagreements. I think the asylum process is being abused. I think the idea that, the vast majority of these people don't qualify for the vast majority of these people don't qualify for asylum, right? Asylum is absolutely just a tool that you just assert it. Hey, look, it's asylum, and now
I built
you
that into
buy
my
yourself some
response
time.
too, by the way.
Sure, I understand. Yes, you get more asylum judges, but I think the problem is I think there needs to be perhaps some kind of probable cause as to whether or not there's even a basis for asylum at first, and some kind of deterrence that would prevent that from happening. Perhaps remain in Mexico or something. I think remain in Mexico is probably the best possible policy for actually creating a deterrent. Right. What you would do is look. If you claim asylum, you have your day in court. You can because that's in compliance with international law. But remain in Mexico is was not found to be unconstitutional. That is, or not found to be in violation of the law. You make them wait in Mexico for their asylum hearing. That's how
I
you
have a
solve that problem.
question. I have a question for you, by the way, just in response to what you said. Do you think that maybe one of the I'm sure you do, you think that maybe a lot of the reason why people are abusing the asylum situation and the ability to seek asylum is because of A, how long shit takes to get asylum claim, and B, the difficulty of legal immigration, even if you are working
Sure.
or yeah.
Well, also, but even if we have a shorter turnaround time, again, you still, by simply claiming it, you still bought yourself some time. The only question is how much. And I think that needs to be addressed somehow. I think remain in Mexico and also perhaps some kind of probable cause hearing is, I think, the two ways that you could help address that specific issue. My ideal immigration scenario, and well, first of all, there's a realistic one, which I would hope to see, is that I think Trump should deport the million criminal illegal ones, the ones that have committed crime outside of illegal immigrating, and then stop there. That's my ideal, right? Sorry, that's my realistic ideal, right? My ideal, what I would really like to see is have the criminal illegal immigrants deported, and then create a scheme. And the scheme is, if you're an illegal immigrant, you have to, otherwise it's a crime, which would lead to deportation. You have to register, and you get basically a temporary employment card or some kind of employment card. And this employment card comes with a special tax on it that only illegal immigrants pay. And this special tax goes towards a fund that then compensates Americans for any kind of provable harm done by illegal immigrants.
Okay. Gibbs, thoughts?
Yeah, it's I got two words for you. It's virtue signaling. That's what they're doing. They don't actually care. No one cared about the ranchers and farmers for years. There's a reason ag workers are pushing for this, despite what their little knowledge, no knowledge idea brains on what's going to happen to the ag industry has to say. Illegal immigration has cost us money and heartache. No one cared about immigration until Texas and Florida started shipping people to other places. No one cared about immigration in Chicago. Then we shipped them up there. Cost for housing for minorities and legal groups skyrocketed, and people were mad. They even asked their alderman one time if they could build a wall around Texas. I have the sources if anybody wants to debate this shit too. They don't actually care. Medical issues, they don't care about that for taxpayers. Housing, y'all don't care about this being paid for taxpayers. These people cut and run from court all the time.
Is your determination of whether or not we care based on other people's arguments? Is all of it based on other people's arguments? In other conversations we weren't.
I'm going through everything y'all said.
No, you're not.
I've waited 20
No,
minutes.
you're not. You just talked about the years that we didn't care about the agricultural industry. How
we didn't want it.
was that about what we said?
Y'all didn't want it. Now we got the power to deport, and suddenly y'all are mad, right? Y'all can stop virtual signaling and actually
the power to deport. Joe Biden's still deporting people
instead of laughing at us to be elitist. That's what y'all are doing right now. Y'all are laughing and being elitist.
Do you agree Joe Biden's deporting people?
Legal immigrants don't.
I'm being elitist. Yeah, okay.
Legal immigrants don't like y'all's proposals. They see this as skipping in the line as special treatment. Minorities are tired of the special treatment.
I'm sure people feel that way.
Record numbers especially expensive. The only thing y'all really want is on the left over there is actually to keep using these people to their advantage and making them beholden to them.
Here we go.
Hispanics especially are Catholic. They're going to fall more in line with all the Republicans and stuff.
Didn't literally all of us talk about giving them legal immigration status?
Yeah,
illegal
we
immigration
talked
stopping
about
the
all
mistreatment of
sorts of
workers.
like IDs and other things. And y'all
Yeah,
don't
I
give
say
a
give them
shit.
IDs.
And so,
Yeah.
all y'all been doing is virtual signaling.
Giving them
Virtual signaling
IDs
the whole
helps
time. Y'all don't give a
everyone.
shit. Y'all don't actually want a solution. And that's why we're at the deportation
I feel like
stage.
Gibbs is the anti-virtue signal.
Right.
What
Hey,
is an anti-virtue?
That's everything he says. That's why he only talks about feelings. That's why he can't
before the debate.
provide any
and
sort
saying
of-
no matter what
Okay,
happens.
One at a time. One at a time. One at a time.
Can I please, real quick?
Whoa.
Gibbs said something that I thought was really good, and I want to
Okay.
tack on to my policy proposal.
Sure, go ahead.
I would add one thing that Gibbs reminded me of. For all the illegal not illegal immigrants, all the people who are here who then did leave when the government asked them to leave, I think they should all have priority to come to the U.S., and all of their immigration fees should be paid for from the fund that is collected from the extra tax on illegal immigrants.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, gang, this has been a rousing discussion. We have gotten all sorts of takes, all sorts of proposals, all sorts of ideas. All chat loves and hates it at the same time.
Yeah, let them in. I just have to say.
You want me to let them in? We can do that. I
Let
don't know if
them
you guys
in.
have other places to
Oh,
be.
sorry. I meant about.
Oh, immigrants, not.
illegal.
She meant about the illegal immigrants.
I was like,
Let them
we got
in.
people backstage ready to come in. Okay, no, you're talking about something else.
Tight borders here.
Let people illegally immigrate.
Okay, so
This
you
is
want
it.
borders for my
Yeah,
Discord, but
no.
not borders for the nation. I see how it
Look,
is.
keep
I
them
get
out of
it.
this VC, okay?
Look, build that wall, okay? Okay, Wick, build that wall. And then
Okay.
you know what? Have the waiting room pay for that wall, okay? That's what I say.
Look, we can do that. Waiting room people, if you give me $50 right now, I'll pull you in for closing statements. How's that? Waiting room people, that's all on you.
We're
got
gonna get another like Artemis Fowl situation.
No, I'll make it happen.
That's
Right,
okay.
$50 right now to my pocket, and we will
Capitalism.
get this happen. Okay, that said, I want to give everyone here a chance to have closing statements, closing arguments, and chill their shit to tell you where you can find them. Everyone who's given me something, a link, I put it in the YouTube description. Buckaroo, you never gave me a link to any content, so I didn't. So I don't know.
Have a link to any content right now.
Well-
Sincere apologies.
No, Wick exclusive,
Someday.
gang. Wick exclusive, okay? But anyway, we're going to start with Doghouse, and we're going to end with Gibbs. Doghouse, take it away.
Yeah, conservatives, who sit there and use people like Lincoln Riley, say that immigrants are inherently criminal, and say that liberals somehow endorse slavery are racist, and that's my conclusion.
Where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me at the Doghouse Show on Twitter, Twitch, Kick, YouTube, Blue Sky. But listen, conservatives are not welcomed on Blue Sky. So if you're liberal, you won't get a block. But if you're a Republican, I will block you. Okay.
What
Anyways,
about
go
the
ahead.
people who were cheering on the death of the CEO? Do you block them on Blue Sky?
No comment at this time.
Fair
I
enough.
have to talk to
Okay.
my people.
No, we can do that. Okay, let's go with Katya. Go ahead.
Okay, so I love legal immigration. More legal immigration and also more judges. We love the judicial system here. So, basically, I think there's a lot of logistical issues that we should first work on kind of smoothing those out, because that is, in addition to the people who are living in mass deportation fantasy land, that is our second biggest problem. So, anyways, you can find me at Premier Katya on X/Twitter and on Blue Sky. And everyone's welcome to follow me on Blue Sky, because I have said that it's not an echo chamber. Prove me right, please.
Follower gang, thanks for being here. Really appreciate you. Love the takes. Let's go to Lactoid, my favorite.
Aw, thanks, Wick.
Welcome.
Yeah, I mean, so I like to think that I have reasons for all of my arguments, and I thought I laid them out, and the logic should be apparent. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I obviously have biases that are probably informing some of my value judgments and my predilections on a lot of different subjects. I did vote for Donald Trump, as a lot of you know. I'm not, but I've always caveated that by saying I'm not hawkish in immigration, and I'm not now, and I wasn't then either. I would like to see the illegal criminal immigrants deported, just because I think I'm not a big fan of criminals. But what I am a big fan of is hot Latinas, Mexican beer, and Mexican food, which
It's Latinas, just
which
to be clear.
immigration. I said Latinas. Just to be, I don't know if that came. I
The
said
big
Latinas.
booty visa.
The big booty, yeah. And so there's all those things that I value very strongly. I've got a very strong bias towards those things, and that could be clouding my judgment. It's true. It's possible. And more immigration leads to more of that. So if you like what I had to say, you can find me at Lactoid TV on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube.
Okay, thanks for being here, Lactoid. Find them. Confluence, please. Also my favorite.
right.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I think there's a good way to do this, and there's a bad way to do this, and I hope Trump does it the good way. He has plans that we didn't talk about. He wants to fund 10,000 border agents. He wants to declare a state of emergency to get money to go to the wall so it can be rebuilt again, or continue to be built again. And most importantly, perhaps, he wants to designate the cartel as terrorist organizations and go to war against them, which he absolutely should, because they meet every legal definition of a terror group. It's not even a question. And he thinks he shouldn't do is he should not remove DACA or birthright citizenship. You can find me at Confluence 358 on YouTube. I make political commentary videos.
Well, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you. Yeah. Thanks for taking time out of your day to come here. My actual favorite, Buckaroo. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I believe in thinking practically when you're trying to resolve any problem. And I think, like Katya said, there are a lot of logistics in play. I believe it's important to be considerate of all the complexities, and that means that you can't resolve it with one singular mass deportation event. I believe in workers' rights, and I think when we look at America, we can't just cut out all the people that we want to have justification to exploit. I believe that they are American workers, and therefore they are American. They deserve to have legal status. Let them in.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Finally, I was lying all the other times before. Gibbs, you're my actual favorite. Go ahead, Gibbs.
Thank you. Also, I just want to say, as the only actual Hispanic here, as far as I'm aware, and the only product of illegal immigration due to my father being illegal immigrant, that right there should give you all enough reason right there to want to deport all of them, because they brought you me, and I'm making all you lefties cry all the time. Secondly, on top of that, I want to say, yeah, a lot of virtue signaling happened tonight. None of these people actually care about illegal immigration. There's a reason why legal immigrants don't want this to continue, and they're coming out in droves in support of this, as well as people who've been here for a while. I think the points are proven. They backed off on the medical stuff. They backed off on all the things I really brought up sources for, and even the one time they brought up sources, it was debated within their own source. So big W's for Papa Gibbs. Cry some more, libs, and later you'll see at least 4 of these people, including myself, on a panel out here at 7:30. Yeah, 4. There's, I think, Katusha. I'm sure I'm butchering her name. Lactoid and Doghouse Show are going to be on another panel discussing whether or not we should invade my dad's home country of Mexico and take out the cartels. So perfect segue into that. So in about 30 minutes, guys.
Check them out, gang. Thanks for being here. So 2 things before we go. $20 from Ben Riley to say mass deportations by the military violate the Posse Comitatus Act, lack due process, 5th Amendment, risk unreasonable seizures, 4th, and
Correct.
breach, separation of powers, and harm family integrity, the 14th Amendment. Thank you for the $20. And the second thing I will say, we had a little ban in our Twitch chat. It's okay to insult me. That's fine, right? But when you start saying things like you need to control your women, you're gonna get a ban.
Yeah, I got a ban.
As if we are women to be, as if we're women to be controlled. I must know.
They're not mine. I promise you. I don't claim.
You think we aren't going to argue it?
I don't know what's going on, but yeah, you can appeal to me and maybe we could talk it out privately. But right, like that was just too far. Okay.
What about my ban in your Discord? Whose fault was that?
Not mine. I didn't ban you.
I broke no rules and I got a ban.
Fair enough. I don't know what you're gonna have to talk to someone else about that. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay.
I mean, if you broke no rules, we know who it is.
Okay.
Yeah, we do know who it was.
Joke about fuzzy handcuffs.
Well, oh baby, I didn't know it was turning that kind of panel.
Look, Non-Fawn wants me to set up a dating panel for him. Non-Fawn is a sweet young man, 19 years old, never been kissed, virgin. He's never had a girlfriend.
19.
And he's 19
Is he
years old.
okay with you saying this?
You
All
just
this?
push it
He
all
said
the
it
time.
on it.
information.
He said it on the panel, right, that we were on together. He's the one that brought it up, and
Okay,
he
all
wants
right.
me to set up like a dating show for him. So
And then if you want a DJ dating show,
if you would like to
Then just
compete
include the lift.
for his affection and attention, we'll set that up at some point. Should be fun. Okay, so the next Sanderson book has come out. I'm gonna spend all weekend reading that. Next week we got some great content coming up. On the 9th, I'm gonna talk with the gentleman. Tachyon Blue should be fun, and we'll have more panels. I might want to do a CEO death panel. So if you're actually okay with celebrating the CEO's death, contact me, and we'll put a panel together. Oh, okay, fair enough. We'll have words later. But for now, we're gonna raid out into Lactoid. So give it up, and wait, bye-bye, everyone. It takes like 10 seconds.
Thanks,
So you got
everyone.
10 seconds of waving. Okay, 10 sec. Keep going. Why? 10 seconds? That's not 10 seconds, ladies. Come on, you can do it. Let's go. 3,
Ladies, I've been waving this whole
1.
time.
I know. Look. Bye. Okay.
Oh.
See ya. It's over.